Chapter 1008. I had a bad start this time. Not only did I not get the earth vein spirit fruit, but I also suffered a great loss. Please punish me, royal father, Li Zhen told his father about his journey to Sky Thunder Mountain. Hearing this, Li Guanyao's face darkened. Li Mengyao was humiliated in the Vermilion Bird Kingdom. Now that they were in the Azure Dragon Kingdom's jurisdiction, someone dared to make a move on the Azure Dragon Kingdom's royal family. He asked angrily, "Someone dared to snatch the earth vein spirit fruit from your hands. Do you know who it is?" Li Zhen said, "I'm not sure yet. That person and the earth vein spirit fruit have mysteriously disappeared. I'll arrange for someone to investigate this. No one can humiliate our royal family in the Azure Dragon Kingdom's territory." Li Guanyao said, "The person must have been prepared and is an expert. This matter cannot be blamed on you. I'll exempt you from punishment." "Thank you, royal father." Li Zhen said again, "There's one more thing I need to report to royal father. Recently, traces of the Ghost King sect have been appearing in our Azure Dragon Kingdom." He told his father about Lu Xiaoyao's encounter with the Ghost King sect's 5th and 6th elders and his encounter with the 3rd and 4th elders on his way back. When Qin Haodong said that the 5th patriarch and the 6th patriarch were all killed by Qin Haodong, and the 3rd patriarch and the 4th patriarch escaped with injuries, Qin Haodong keenly found that there was a subtle change in Queen Chao Yuhuan's eyes. The change in her eyes was very subtle and ordinary people wouldn't be able to see it. What surprised Qin Haodong was that Chao Yuhuan's eyes were filled with shock and regret, which surprised him quite. Could it be that Chao Yuhuan wanted the 3rd and 4th elders to kill Li Zhen and Li Mengyao? This was a possibility. There were always all kinds of schemes in the royal palace. Qin Haodong didn't care about this. Whether Li Zhen and Li Mengyao died or not had nothing to do with him. He only cared about getting information about the Azure Dragon Spirit Spring. Li Guanyao said, "The Ghost King sect sent out their core elders and dared to make a move on the Azure Dragon Kingdom. What are they trying to do? Are they crazy?" Chao Yuhuan said, "Your Majesty, it's not a big deal. It's just a few clowns from the Ghost King sect. Maybe they just want the earth vein spirit fruit." Li Zhen said, "Father, the purpose of the people of the Ghost King sect coming to Little Azure Dragon City is to snatch the Black Demon Bead. I've heard about the Black Demon Bead a long time ago. I heard that it's related to the alien demon tribe, but I don't know why the Ghost King sect wants it." Li Guanyao nodded and said, "In the future, I will ask people to pay more attention to the Ghost King sect's movements." Li Mengyao said, "Father, actually, we also gained something this time." "Oh? Tell me what you've gained." "It's like this, father. Brother Wang and I were able to escape from the clutches of the Ghost King sect because of Dr. Tang Long. Brother Wang and I have already brought him to the Azure Dragon Kingdom. Dr. Tang is definitely a talent. I hope that Lord Father can keep him here." At this point, Li Mengyao's cheeks flushed. Chao Yuhuan was old and shrewd. She immediately noticed the difference. She smiled and said, "Does our second princess have someone she likes? It seems that our Azure Dragon Kingdom is going to have another son-in-law." Li Guanyao's expression eased up a lot, and a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "I don't know what kind of person it is to be able to make our Mengyao favor him so much." Li Mengyao said shyly, "Lord Father, Brother Tang is indeed a talent. He's only in his 20s, but he already has the cultivation of the Great Ascension stage. Moreover, his medical skills are simply godly. My injuries and Elder Wang's injuries were all healed by him." "What did you say? He has already reached the Great Ascension stage in his 20s? Li Guanyao's face revealed a trace of astonishment. Although he looked like he was only in his 40s or 50s, his actual age had already reached 100 years old. He was an expert in the late stage of the Great Ascension stage, but he had only reached the Great Ascension stage when he was 50 years old. He had even broken the record of the Azure Dragon Kingdom's fastest cultivation advancement. To be able to reach the Great Ascension stage in his 20s, such a person could only be described as a genius, not to mention that he was also proficient in medical skills. Li Mengyao said, Yes, Brother Tang has indeed reached the Great Ascension stage. According to him, his cultivation was bestowed upon him by his master before he died. Li Guanyao said, that sounds reasonable. Li Zhen said, Father, I don't think we can fully believe this. Because Tang Long's woman, Li Shaoqian, has a higher cultivation. She may have reached the late stage of the Great Ascension stage. The third elder of the Ghost King's sect was defeated by her, and she looks very young. Li Guanyao's expression immediately became very serious. A powerful expert in the late stage of the Great Ascension stage could definitely be taken seriously by any force. He pondered for a moment and said, they have such a heaven-defying cultivation at such a young age, and some of their origins are unknown. We must treat them with caution and investigate their background. If they can be of use to us, we must rope them in at all costs. If they have ulterior motives, we must kill them as soon as possible. Li Zhen and Li Mengyao said in unison, Father is right. I understand. Let's put this aside for now. There are more important things for you to do. Li Guanyao said, there has been some movement in the Medicine God Valley of Mount Qingling recently. If my guess is correct, it will open in 3 days. What? The Medicine God Valley is opening? This is a great thing. Li Zhen and Li Mengyao's faces were filled with excitement. According to the legends, the Medicine God Valley was an ancient relic passed down by the Almighty Medicine God. Not only were there many elixirs, but there were also many opportunities. Everyone who entered the Medicine God Valley would obtain great benefits. Although the Medicine God Valley was good, the opportunities were limited. It only opened once every 100 years. According to the previous estimate, this year was the opening year, but the specific time could not be determined. Since there had been some movement recently, it seemed that the opening day was not far away. This is indeed an opportunity for our Azure Dragon royal family. Li Guanyao said, however, one must have enough strength to enter the Medicine God Valley. After all, this kind of ancient relic has both opportunities and dangers. There are still 3 days to prepare. You too should immediately enter the Azure Dragon Spirit Spring to cultivate. The higher your cultivation, the better. Yes, Father. We will immediately rush to the Azure Dragon Spirit Spring. I will not disappoint you. Li Zhen and Li Mengyao agreed in unison. After a few more words, they left the palace. On Qin Haodong's side, after hearing the news, he suddenly became excited. After waiting in front of the computer for so long, he finally got the news of the Azure Dragon Spirit Spring. He asked Nyotsuihua, what is the situation with the Medicine God Valley? After Nyotsuihua explained the situation, she said, the Medicine God Valley can be said to be the most attractive ancient relic in the Lingwu continent. Once it opens, I am afraid that it will immediately attract powerful warriors from all over the continent. However, there are many opportunities inside, we should also go in and take a look. Qin Haodong nodded and said, we will go to the Medicine God Valley, but the most important thing is to go to the Azure Dragon Spirit Spring to improve our cultivation. Nyotsuihua's face revealed a rare serious expression. Although the Azure Dragon Spirit Spring is good, I am afraid that it will not be easy to cultivate quietly. Li Zhen and Li Mengyao will soon enter there to cultivate. If there is even the slightest movement, they will immediately sense it. Moreover, the Azure Dragon Kingdom is after all the most powerful kingdom in the Lingwu continent. There are many powerful warriors, much more powerful than the Vermilion Bird Kingdom. Qin Haodong frowned. He also felt that this was indeed a problem. Even if he could absorb the spirit qi at an astonishing speed, there was still a process and he could not be disturbed in the middle. However, since this was a rare opportunity, he could not let it go. Don't worry about that, let's go and take a look first. Qin Haodong said to the two. Same old method, you two enter the 7th stage pagoda first, I will secretly follow Li Zhen. Nyotsuihua and He Ziwei nodded, and the two entered the 7th stage pagoda together. Qin Haodong set up an illusion array in the room, making it look like the three were asleep, and then quietly left the station. After leaving the station, he quickly found Li Menyao's location according to the signal sent back by the micro camera. He quietly followed behind the two. At this moment, his mood was getting more and more excited. If he could successfully absorb the Azure Dragon Spirit Spring, and then take a walk around the Medicine God Valley, he should be able to reach the late Mahayana or peak Mahayana. There was a great possibility that he could reopen the space seal to Earth and reunite with his family. After coming to the Lingwu continent for so long, this was the first time he felt so close to home. After Li Zhen and Li Mengyao left the palace, they did not bring any guards with them. The two rushed out of the Azure Dragon Royal City, completely unaware that someone was quietly following them. About an hour later, they arrived at a mountain range. The spirit chi here was very dense. It was the location of the Azure Dragon Spirit Spring. "What are you doing?" As the two approached, a middle-aged man of about 50 years old came up with a dozen guards. He was the guardian of the Azure Dragon Spirit Spring, Zhou Kuan. After seeing this person, Qin Haodong became more cautious. This Zhou Kuan turned out to be a mid-stage Mahayana expert. He was also the guardian of the Vermilion Bird Spirit Spring, but the guardian of the Vermilion Bird Spirit Spring was only at the peak of body integration. The gap between the two kingdoms was obvious. Li Zhen said, "General Zhou, it's me." Zhou Kuan also recognized Li Zhen and Li Mengyao. He quickly stepped forward and said, "This subordinate greets the eldest prince and second princess. No need to be polite, we are here to cultivate. Your Royal Highness, please follow me." Zhou Kuan led the way, leading the two into the Azure Dragon Spirit Spring. Qin Haodong used an invisibility talisman and tried his best to hide his aura, quietly following behind. The Azure Dragon Spirit Spring was the largest spirit spring in the entire Lingwu continent. In terms of area, it was twice as large as the Vermilion Bird Spirit Spring. The spirit chi it contained was also very dense. After arriving above the spirit spring, Li Zhen said, "You can leave first, we are going to start cultivating." "Yes, Your Royal Highness, I will guard the surroundings. If you need anything, just call me." Zhou Kuan said and left, but he did not go far. He took out a tea table outside the Azure Dragon Spirit Spring and sat there quietly drinking tea. After all, this was a place for the prince and princess to cultivate together. He had to be careful here, he could not make any mistakes. "Mengyao, let's start cultivating. Let's strive to reach another level this time." Li Zhen said and sat cross-legged above the spirit spring, ready to enter a state of cultivation. But just as he closed his eyes, the back of his head was poked by a finger, then he lost consciousness. Li Mengyao felt something was wrong. She turned her head to look, but before she could see what happened, she was also poked by a finger. Chapter 1009. Qin Haodong knocked the two unconscious and placed them next to the spiritual pond. Looking at the Green Dragon Spiritual Spring, which was the size of a small man-made lake, he couldn't help but worry. It was obviously unrealistic to absorb it here. There was a mid-stage Mahayana realm expert standing guard next to him. He was afraid that he would soon notice that something was wrong. "Looks like I can only try this method." He had already thought about it on the way here. He would try to see if he could absorb the Green Dragon Spiritual Spring into the pagoda. If he succeeded, he could take the spring water away and slowly cultivate in the future. After making up his mind, he locked onto the Green Dragon Spiritual Spring water in front of him with his primordial spirit and absorbed it into the pagoda. Because there was too much spring water in front of him, he didn't know if he could succeed. After he started, the spring water in the Green Dragon Pond started to decrease at a speed visible to the naked eye. Nyotsuehua and Hiziwei were resting when they suddenly saw a clear waterfall gushing in from the outside. It continuously poured into the pagoda, filling the entire pagoda with dense spiritual energy. Qin Haodong was overjoyed. Qin Haodong was overjoyed. Although he couldn't collect all the spring water at once, the speed was much faster than his own cultivation. Based on the current speed, he estimated that he would be able to absorb 90% of the spring water in 2 to 3 minutes. Zhou Kuan sat next to the Green Dragon Spiritual Spring and slowly tasted the tea in his cup. The tea leaves were picked next to the green dragon's spiritual spring and were nourished by the dense spiritual energy all year round. One sip of the tea made him feel warm all over. But at this moment, his expression changed slightly. As a mid-stage Mahayana realm expert, he could keenly feel that the density of the surrounding spiritual energy had decreased a lot. Looks like the eldest prince and second princess cultivation is progressing very quickly, he thought as he poured another cup of tea. But after just 2 to 3 minutes, he felt that something was wrong. The surrounding spiritual energy had decreased drastically again, and it was even more intense than before. What was going on? Even if he cultivated in the green dragon's spiritual spring, he wouldn't be able to absorb it so quickly. Oh no, something must have happened. The news of the vermilion bird's spiritual spring being looted had spread throughout the Lingwu continent. All the kingdoms had strengthened their defenses, and he had been sent here after that. Thinking of this, he immediately put down the teacup and appeared above the green dragon's spiritual spring. When he arrived at this place, he was so shocked that he almost fell from the sky due to the fluctuations in his mind. The azure dragon's spirit spring, which was originally like a small lake, was now less than a foot deep. Li Zhen and Li Mengyao, the two of them, did not cultivate and were lying unconscious on the side. What's going on? Zhou Kun felt like he was going crazy. From the time he left until now, only 5 minutes had passed. How could there be such a huge change in the azure dragon's spiritual spring? Where did all the spiritual spring water go? He couldn't possibly disappear without a trace, right? But the truth was right in front of him. There was no one around, and there was only a little bit of spring water left. After recovering from his shock, he immediately took out an alarm arrow and fired it. Then, with a long whistle, he alerted the surrounding guards. Hearing the alarm, countless silhouettes appeared around the azure dragon's spiritual spring, rushing over. General, what happened? The guards came to the side of the spirit spring water. When they saw that there was not much spirit spring water left, they turned pale with fright. This was simply unimaginable. How could they lose so much spirit spring water? Zhou Kun sternly shouted, immediately seal off the entire azure dragon's spiritual spring. Do not allow anyone to enter or leave. Then, search carefully. Even if an ant comes in from the outside, you must find it for me. Yes, General. The guards answered and immediately entered a tense state of alert. Such a big thing happened to the azure dragon's spiritual spring, and each of them could not escape the blame. At this time, Qin Haodong was already standing outside the azure dragon's spiritual spring. Looking at the beautiful fireworks in the sky, he couldn't help but sneer. Then, his figure disappeared into the night sky. After everything was done, Zhou Kun woke Li Zhen and Li Mengyao up and asked, Eldest prince, second princess, what happened? Who knocked you out? I don't know either. Just as I was about to cultivate, my acupoints were sealed. Li Zhen slowly opened his eyes. Seeing the azure dragon spiritual spring in front of him, he immediately turned pale with fright. He jumped up and shouted, What happened? Where's the spring water? Zhou Kun said in annoyance, I don't know either. From the moment the eldest prince and the second princess came here, I felt the spiritual energy drop drastically. When I came here, I saw this scene. What the hell? So much spirit spring water suddenly disappeared. Li Mengyao also regained her consciousness and shouted, Someone must be playing tricks. The spring water of the vermilion bird's spiritual spring was also lost in the same way. Zhou Kun said, I also know that someone must be hiding in the dark. But I don't understand what method he used to take away the spring water. Could it be absorbed? That's impossible. Even an immortal can't absorb it so quickly. Li Zhen and Li Mengyao were also confused. Even if they broke their skulls, they still couldn't figure out how the spring water of the azure dragon's spiritual spring disappeared. At this time, the entire azure dragon imperial city was in an uproar. Li Guanyao was just about to do some love things with Chao Yuhuan when he suddenly received the alarm from the azure dragon's spiritual spring. He was immediately shocked. He knew that the vermilion bird's spiritual spring was stolen. Knowing that the situation was urgent, he immediately disappeared from the room and rushed towards the direction of the azure dragon's spiritual spring with his fastest speed. Behind him, countless experts also soared into the sky from the imperial city and rushed over. When Li Guangyao arrived above the azure dragon's spirit spring and saw that it was almost empty, he felt like his lungs were going to explode from anger. He yelled angrily, "Zhou Kun, tell me, what is going on here? This subordinate deserves to die." Zhou Kun quickly came in front of Li Guangyao and told him what happened. Li Guangyao angrily said, "You said that in less than half a cup of tea's time, our azure dragon's spiritual spring was emptied?" Zhou Kun said, "It's like this, Your Majesty." Li Guangyao asked, "Did you find out who did it?" Zhou Kun lowered his head and said, "Your Majesty, our subordinates have already plowed the entire vicinity of the azure dragon's spiritual spring. It can be said that they dug 3 feet into the ground, but they didn't find anything suspicious." Bastard, could it be that this king's azure dragon's spiritual spring grew wings and flew away by itself? Li Guangyao was enraged, his powerful aura made the surrounding people shiver. No one dared to make a sound. "Your Majesty, please don't be angry. This concubine has a guess." While speaking, Chao Yuhuan appeared behind Li Guangyao. Li Guangyao waved his hand to dismiss the surrounding people, leaving only a few core members behind. He then asked, "Do you know who did it?" "Although this concubine doesn't know, I can provide Your Majesty with some speculations." Li Guangyao said, "Tell me, who is the biggest suspect?" Chao Yuhuan said, "Your Majesty, this concubine can provide you with a few references. First, why didn't anything happen to the azure dragon's spiritual spring before, but something happened to the crown prince and second princess when they came back?" Just as she finished speaking, Li Zhen said with dissatisfaction, "Imperial Mother, do you think this son did it?" Although he was the crown prince, he wasn't Chao Yuhuan's biological son. The two of them might look harmonious on normal days, but the truth was, they weren't. "Don't be anxious, let me finish." Chao Yuhuan continued, "The time is a little bit, and to be able to quietly steal so much azure dragon's spiritual spring water, it can be seen that his cultivation is at least above the Mahayana stage. If you combine these 2 points together, it's easy to guess who the person who recently followed the crown prince to our azure dragon royal city with this kind of ability is." After listening to him, Li Mingyao's expression changed. "You mean Brother Tang did it?" Li Guanyao's expression also changed, and everyone's eyes focused on Chao Yuhuan. "I'm just offering a guess. For so many years, nothing has happened to the azure dragon spiritual spring, but something happened to Tang Long when he just came here. He is in the early Mahayana stage, and the woman beside him is in the late Mahayana stage. Needless to say, they are the biggest suspects. But it's impossible for Brother Tang to do this kind of thing, and even if he wanted to do it, there's no way he could steal so much spiritual spring water at once." After so many years, this was the first time Li Mengyao had taken a fancy to a man. From the bottom of her heart, she didn't want Tang Long to do this. Li Guangyao said, "Queen is right, Tang Long is the biggest suspect in this matter. We'll find out if he did it or not." After saying that, he arranged for Zhou Kun and the others to continue guarding here, and then led the other experts back to the Azure Dragon Royal City in a hurry. After returning to the relay station in the Azure Dragon Royal City, Qin Haodong removed the illusory formation, and then summoned Niuzuehua and Heziwei from the 7th stage pagoda. Niuzuehua cried out excitedly, "Husband, you're really amazing. You actually stored the Azure Dragon's spiritual spring water in the 7th stage pagoda. How did you think of this?" Qin Haodong said, "Let's not talk about this first. Let's quickly get ready. I think the people from the Azure Dragon Kingdom will be here soon." Heziwei said, "Are you saying that the Azure Dragon royal family will suspect us?" Qin Haodong nodded and said, "Of course. After all, they don't know our background, and the time of the incident was when we just arrived at the Azure Dragon Royal City. It will definitely cause suspicion." Heziwei said nervously, "Then what should we do? Since we've already obtained the Azure Dragon spiritual spring, let's quickly leave this place." Qin Haodong shook his head and said, leaving now is the worst plan. The Medicine God Valley is about to open. If we leave, it will definitely arouse the suspicion of the Azure Dragon royal family. At that time, it will be difficult to enter the Medicine God Valley. He Ziwei said, but if we don't leave, what if the Azure Dragon royal family attacks us? Up until now, they should only be suspecting us. The spring water is hidden in the 7th stage pagoda and won't reveal anything. If they don't have evidence, they won't easily attack a great ascension stage expert. Qin Haodong said, moreover, we can attack or retreat at will. Tsuehua's cultivation is now at the late stage of the great ascension stage. Even if we can't beat them, we can still rush out. In addition, we have the 7th stage pagoda as our trump card. At worst, we can hide in the pagoda. Hearing this, He Ziwei's emotions calmed down a lot. Alright, what we need to do now is to go to bed. After saying this, Qin Haodong pulled the two of them to lie on the big bed. Chapter 10:10. Excuse me, who is Dr. Tang Long? Although the old eunuch's voice was a bit sharp and unpleasant, he was still very polite. Qin Haodong said, I am. What can I do for you? The old eunuch said, I'm Zhao Pu, the chief steward of the palace. The queen asked me to invite you to the palace. Qin Haodong was slightly stunned. He had never met the queen before. Why did she ask him to go to the palace? He asked, Chief Steward Zhao, may I ask why the queen wants to see me? Zhao Pu said, I'm just a servant, how dare I inquire about the queen's affairs? Qin Haodong thought for a moment and said, Chief Steward Zhao, please wait a moment. I'll arrange something and go to the palace with you right away. As the chief steward of the palace, Zhao Pu was best at observing people's expressions. He said, Dr. Tang, hurry up. I'll wait for you outside. Then he retreated out of the room and gave Qin Haodong some privacy. As soon as he went out, Tsuehua said with a smile, Husband, you're really amazing. First, you hooked up with the second princess of the Azure Dragon Kingdom. Now even the queen likes you. She wants to summon you to the palace in the middle of the night. Don't mess around. Qin Haodong said seriously, I've long felt that there's something wrong with the queen, but I'm not sure what the problem is. Hearing this, He Ziwei suddenly became nervous. Haodong, why don't we leave the Azure Dragon Kingdom? I don't feel safe here. What if that woman wants to hurt you? Tsuehua said, there are only 2 days left before the Medicine God Valley opens. It's a pity to leave now. Besides, we're just guessing what that woman wants to do. Maybe she wants to propose marriage to the second princess. Qin Haodong said, well, let's be prepared. If she really wants to propose marriage to the second princess, I'll postpone it for a few days. After we enter the Medicine God Valley, we'll leave the Azure Dragon Kingdom. If there's any conspiracy, we'll have to kill our way out of the Azure Dragon Kingdom. He had enough confidence now. After reaching the late stage of the Mahayana realm, he was invincible among his peers. As long as there were no masters at the peak of the Mahayana realm in the Azure Dragon Kingdom, they wouldn't pose any threat to him. Tsuehua nodded and said, that's a good idea. Sister Ziwei and I will hide in the 7th stage pagoda. The 3 of us will enter the palace together. If something goes wrong, we'll kill our way out of the Azure Dragon royal city together. Sure. After the 3 of them finished discussing, Qin Haodong teleported them into the 7th stage pagoda and pushed the door open. Steward Zhao, we can go now. Zhao Pu led the way and took Qin Haodong out of the post station to the bedroom of the Empress, Chao Yuhuan. After entering the room, there was only Chao Yuhuan sitting there alone. For some reason, although this woman did not show any expression on her face, she gave off a kind of bone-deep charm. After Qin Haodong entered the room, she waved to Zhao Pu. Zhao Pu immediately understood and left, closing the door behind him. Qin Haodong's heart tightened. What was this woman going to do? Could it be that Her Majesty was using the same trick? Back in the Black Tortoise Palace, Queen Wu Yuanyang had used this trick to frame him. Her Majesty, may I ask why you called me here? Qiao Yuhuan did not speak. She only smiled slightly, and in an instant, she was so charming that any man who saw her would be swayed. This woman was really too charming. He really did not know why Li Guangyao chose her as his majesty. She walked step by step to Qin Haodong, twisting her sexy body and turning around. Finally, she raised her hand and touched Qin Haodong's chin. Little guy, not bad. You're very skilled. Qin Haodong took 2 steps back and put on a panicked expression. He asked, I don't know what your majesty means. Qiao Yuhuan giggled, you don't have to pretend in front of this old mother. In the Vermilion Bird Kingdom, he killed Li Tianxiong, Li Tianba, and Li Tianqua, 3 masters of the Desheng stage. In the Little Azure Dragon City, he killed the 5th elder and 6th elder of the Ghost King sect. In the Sky Thunder Mountain, he snatched the Earth Vein Spirit fruit under the nose of the first prince. I have to say that your methods are indeed outrageous. You've done so many things to the Azure Dragon royal family, and yet you still dare to come to the Azure Dragon royal city, seducing that last Li Mengyao so much that her soul has left her body. Qin Haodong was shocked. He did not expect this woman to know so much. What happened? How did he expose himself? Could it be that his disguise was not working? That was impossible. After a moment of absent-mindedness, he regained his composure. With his current strength, it was not a big deal even if he was seen through by the other party. At most, he could kill his way out of the Azure Dragon Palace. However, there was a trace of doubt in his heart. Since this woman had already seen through his identity, why didn't she expose him in front of Li Guangyao? Instead, she secretly invited him to the palace. Was this a trap for him or did she have other intentions? Although he thought so, he still looked calm on the surface. Your Majesty, I'm just a doctor. I don't know what you mean. It's true that you're a doctor, but you're also Qin Haodong, the enemy of the Azure Dragon royal family. Qiao Yuhuan said this, but the smile on her face grew brighter. Little guy, don't pretend in front of me. There's no use in pretending. All right then. Since your Majesty says so, I'll admit it. Qin Haodong smiled and said, but I'm very curious. How did your Majesty see through me? Could it be that my disguise revealed a flaw? Qiao Yuhuan shook her head and smiled. No, your disguise is very good. You can pass off the fake as the real one without any flaws. Qin Haodong asked, then what's the problem? Because I can feel the aura of the Black Demon Pearl on you, and there's more than one. Qiao Yuhuan said, today, I'll give you 2 choices. Either hand over all the Black Demon Pearls to me, or I'll expose your identity. With the hatred the Azure Dragon royal family has for you, as long as they know you're Qin Haodong, I'm afraid you and your companions won't be able to leave this place alive. Qin Haodong was shocked. The Black Demon Pearl had always been in his storage ring. He did not know how this woman sensed it. If he had known that this would happen, he would have directly stored it in the 7th Order Pagoda. Seeing that he was stunned and silent, Qiao Yuhuan seemed to be quite satisfied with the effect she had caused. She smiled and said, which one are you going to choose? Qin Haodong said, are you threatening me? Don't I have the right to threaten you? Qiao Yuhuan said, if I were you, I'd obediently hand over the Black Demon Pearl. After all, that thing is useless to you. Comparatively speaking, those 2 delicate beauties should be more worthy of your cherishing. Qin Haodong smiled and said, you're right. You really don't have the right to threaten me. Qiao Yuhuan was slightly stunned. She then said, kid, do you know what you're talking about? Once I reveal your identity, the Azure Dragon royal family will never let you go. What awaits you will be 1,000 cuts. Qin Haodong said with a playful expression, but what if I reveal your identity? The 2nd elder of the Ghost King sect. Qiao Yuhuan's expression changed drastically. She no longer had the coquettish demeanor from before. She said coldly, kid, what nonsense are you talking about? Am I wrong? Qin Haodong said indifferently, I've seen 8 of the 9 great elders of the Ghost King sect, and some of them died in my hands. Only the second elder is left. Chow Yuhuan said, what does that have to do with me? Qin Haodong said, only the people of the Ghost King sect try their best to get the Black Demon Pearl. You know the situation of the Ghost King sect so well. Obviously, you must be a member of the Ghost King sect. And you've reached the late stage of Deshang, which is a cultivation that only the second elder and the Ghost King sect master can reach. And the Ghost King sect master can't run here to be a queen. There's only one answer. You're the second elder of the Ghost King sect. He was also quite shocked by this guess. No wonder the woman was shocked when she heard the news of the fifth and sixth elders' deaths. They were in cahoots. When the elders of the Ghost King sect came out, they all wore masks and didn't show their true faces. It turned out that they all had different hidden identities. Take the second elder for example. Even Niotsuehua didn't know her, which showed that her identity was deeply hidden. Yes, you're really smart. You can even guess this. Speaking of this, Chow Yuhuan's expression instantly became extremely sinister. But people who are too smart always don't live long. In this world, except for the sect master, everyone who knows my identity is dead. You're no exception. Qin Haodong didn't panic at all. If he met the second elder of the Ghost King sect a day ago, he would probably have to run away. But now it was different. They were both at the late stage of Deshang, and he was invincible among his peers. Chow Yuhuan didn't know this at all. She thought she had the other party. Qin Haodong said, what, are you going to kill me? Don't you want the Black Demon Pearl? Chow Yuhuan said, I can also get the Black Demon Pearl if I kill you. Then she stretched out her hand and directly used the Ghost King sect's unique skill, the Netherworld Ghost Claw. A huge ghost claw grabbed at Qin Haodong's head. In her opinion, Qin Haodong, who was only at the early stage of Deshang, was no match for her at all. He could only be obediently suppressed. Unexpectedly, Qin Haodong punched out and instantly shattered the Netherworld Ghost Claw. The momentum of the confrontation between the two masters of Deshang was amazing. The huge strength instantly collapsed the surrounding palace. Chow Yuhuan was shocked and hurriedly dodged back, but it was too late. Qin Haodong's fist did not stop after penetrating the nether ghost claw, and the wind of the fist heavily hit her towering chest. She was hit and flew backward in an instant. She even heard the sound of her sternum breaking, and a large mouthful of blood spurted out. Chow Yuhuan flew dozens of meters away and hit the pillar behind her. This punch had made her completely lose the ability to resist. She struggled to get up from the ground and exclaimed, You're also at the late stage of Deshang? How is it possible? How did your cultivation improve so fast? Qin Haodong sneered and said, if you want to know, ask the King of Hell. Just as he was about to step forward and kill the second elder with one punch, a powerful momentum suddenly came from behind him. Outside the palace, there were also countless figures rushing in this direction. They're really fast. Qin Haodong didn't want to be trapped. He jumped up, directly pierced a big hole in the roof, and then disappeared into the night. Chapter 10-11. Qin Haodong was slightly stunned. He had never been in contact with the queen. Why did she ask him to enter the palace? He asked, Chief Steward Zhao, may I ask why Her Majesty is looking for me? Zhao Pu replied, as a servant, how could I dare inquire about the Empress affairs? Qin Haodong thought for a moment and said, Director Zhao, please wait a moment. I'll arrange something and go to the palace with you right away. As the Minister of Internal Affairs of the palace, Zhao Pu was best at observing people's expressions. He said, Dr. Tang, hurry up. I'll wait for you outside. After that, he stepped out of the room and gave Qin Haodong some privacy. As soon as he left, Nyotsuiwa giggled and said, Husband, you're really amazing. First, you seduced the Azure Dragon Kingdom's second princess, and now even Her Majesty the Queen has taken a fancy to you. She wants to summon you to the palace in the middle of the night. Don't mess around. Qin Haodong said seriously, I've long felt that there was something wrong with the queen, but I'm not sure what the problem is. Hearing this, He Ziwei immediately became nervous. Haodong, why don't we leave the Azure Dragon Royal City? I don't feel safe here. What if that woman wants to harm you? Nyotsuhua said, there are only 2 days left before the opening of the Medicine God Valley sect. It would be a shame to leave now. Besides, we can only guess what that woman wants to do. Maybe she wants to propose marriage to the second princess. Qin Haodong said, well, let's make preparations. If it's really a marriage proposal for the second princess, I'll postpone it for a few days. After we enter the Medicine God Valley sect, we will leave the Azure Dragon Kingdom. If there's any conspiracy, we have no choice but to kill our way out of the Azure Dragon Royal City. Now, he was confident that he would be invincible among those of the same rank after his cultivation reached the late stage of the Great Ascension Realm. As long as there were no experts at the peak of the Great Ascension Realm in the Azure Dragon Royal City, they would not be a threat to him. Nyotsuhua nodded and said, that's a good idea. Sister Ziwei and I will hide in the 7th stage pagoda. The 3 of us will enter the palace together. If something goes wrong, we'll kill our way out of the Azure Dragon Royal City together. Sure. After the 3 of them finished discussing, Qin Haodong teleported them into the 7th stage pagoda and pushed the door open. Steward Zhao, we can go now. Zhao Pu led the way and took Qin Haodong out of the post station to the bedroom of the Empress, Chao Yuhuan. After entering the room, there was only Chao Yuhuan sitting there alone. For some reason, although this woman did not show any expression on her face, she gave off a kind of bone-deep charm. After Qin Haodong entered the room, she waved to Zhao Pu. Zhao Pu immediately understood and left, closing the door behind him. Qin Haodong's heart tightened. What was this woman going to do? Could it be that Her Majesty was using the same trick? Back in the Black Tortoise Palace, Queen Wu Yuanyang had used this trick to frame him. Your Highness, may I ask why you called me here? Chao Yuhuan didn't say anything. She only smiled. Instantly, she was so charming that any man who saw her would feel their hearts flutter. This woman is really too charming. I really don't know why Li Guangyao chose her to be his concubine. She walked to Qin Haodong step by step, twisting her sexy body and turning around. Finally, she raised her hand and touched Qin Haodong's chin. Little guy, not bad. You have a deep cultivation. Qin Haodong took 2 steps back and asked with a panicked expression, I don't know what your highness means. Chao Yuhuan giggled, you don't have to pretend in front of this old mother. In the Vermilion Bird Kingdom, he killed Li Tianxiong, Li Tianba and Li Tianqua, 3 masters of the Desheng stage. In the Little Azure Dragon City, he killed the 5th elder and 6th elder of the Ghost King sect. In the Sky Thunder Mountain, he snatched the Earth Vein Spirit Fruit under the nose of the first prince. I have to say that your methods are indeed outrageous. You've done so many things to the Azure Dragon Royal family, and yet you still dare to come to the Azure Dragon Royal City, seducing that lastly Meng Yao so much that her soul has left her body. Qin Haodong was shocked. He didn't expect this woman to know so much. What happened? How did he expose himself? Could it be that his disguise was not working? That was impossible. After a moment of absent-mindedness, he regained his composure. With his current strength, it was not a big deal even if he was seen through by the other party. At most, he could kill his way out of the Azure Dragon Palace. However, there was a trace of doubt in his heart. Since this woman had already seen through his identity, why didn't she expose it in front of Li Guangyao? Instead, she secretly invited him to the palace. Was this a trap for him or did she have other intentions? Although he thought so, he still looked calm on the surface. Your Highness, I am just a doctor. I don't know what you mean. You are a doctor, but you are also Qin Haodong, the enemy of the Azure Dragon royal family. Chao Yuhuan said so, but the smile on her face became brighter. Little guy, don't pretend in front of me. It's useless. Well, since your Highness said so, I admit it. Qin Haodong said with a smile, but I am very curious. How did your highness see through it? Could it be that my disguise has revealed a flaw? Qiao Yuhuan shook her head and said with a smile, no, your disguise is very good. It can pass off as real without any flaw. Qin Haodong said, then what's the problem? Because I can feel the aura of the black demon pearl on you, and there is more than one. Qiao Yuhuan said, today, I will give you two choices. Either hand over all the black demon pearls to me, or I will expose your identity. With the hatred of the Azure Dragon royal family towards you, as long as they know that you are Qin Haodong, I am afraid that you and your companions will not be able to leave this place alive. Qin Haodong was shocked. The black demon pearl had always been in his storage ring. He did not know how this woman had sensed it. If he had known that this would happen, he would have directly stored it in the 7th Order Pagoda. Seeing that he was stunned and silent, Qiao Yuhuan seemed to be quite satisfied with the effect she had caused. She said with a smile, which one are you going to choose? Qin Haodong said, are you threatening me? Do I not have the right to threaten you? Qiao Yuhuan said, if I were you, I would obediently hand over the black demon pearl. After all, that thing is of no use to you. In comparison, those two delicate beauties should be more worthy of your cherishing. Qin Haodong said with a smile, you are right. You really do not have the right to threaten me. Qiao Yuhuan was slightly stunned and then said, boy, have you figured out what you are talking about? Once I reveal your identity, the Azure Dragon royal family will never let you go. What awaits you will be 1,000 cuts. Qin Haodong said with a playful expression, but what if I reveal your identity? You are the second elder of the Ghost King sect. Qiao Yuhuan's expression suddenly changed. She no longer had the coquettish look from before. She said coldly, boy, what nonsense are you talking about? Am I wrong? Qin Haodong said with an indifferent expression, I have seen 8 of the 9 great elders of the Ghost King sect. Some of them even died in my hands. Only the second elder has not been seen. Qiao Yuhuan said, what does that have to do with me? Qin Haodong said, only the people of the Ghost King sect will do their best to obtain the black demon pearl. Moreover, you are so clear about the situation of the Ghost King sect. It is obvious that you must be from the Ghost King sect. And you have reached the late stage of Deshang, which is a cultivation that only the second elder and the Ghost King sect master can reach. And the Ghost King sect master can't run here to be a queen. There is only one answer. You are the second elder of the Ghost King sect. He himself was quite shocked by this guess. No wonder the woman was shocked when she heard the news of the death of the 5th elder and the 6th elder. She was not happy at all. They were in cahoots. When the elders of the Ghost King sect came out, they all wore masks and did not show their true faces. It turned out that they all had different hidden identities. Take the second elder for example. Even Nyotsuehua did not know her. It showed that her identity was deeply hidden. Yes, you are indeed very smart. You can even guess this. Speaking of this, Qiao Yuhuan's expression suddenly became extremely sinister. But people who are too smart can never live long. In this world, except for the sect master, everyone who knows my identity is dead. You will be no exception. Qin Haodong was not flustered. If he met the second elder of the Ghost King sect a day ago, he would have to run away. But now it was different. They were both at the late Deshang stage, and he was invincible among his peers. Qiao Yuhuan did not know this at all. She thought that she had the other party. Qin Haodong said, what, are you going to kill me? Don't you want the black demon bead? Qiao Yuhuan said, I can also get the black demon bead if I kill you. After that, she stretched out her hand and directly used the Ghost King sect's unique skill, the Nether Ghost Claw. A huge ghost claw grabbed at Qin Haodong's head. In her opinion, Qin Haodong, who was only at the early Deshang stage, was no match for her at all. He could only be obediently suppressed. Unexpectedly, Qin Haodong punched out and instantly broke the Nether Ghost Claw. The momentum of the confrontation between the two masters of the Desheng stage was amazing. The huge strength instantly rushed the surrounding palaces and collapsed the houses. Chow Yuhuan was shocked and hurriedly dodged back, but it was too late. Qin Haodong's fist did not stop after penetrating the nether ghost claw, and the wind of the fist heavily hit her towering chest. She was hit and flew backward in an instant. She even heard the sound of her sternum breaking, and a large mouthful of blood sprayed out. Chow Yuhuan flew dozens of meters away and hit the pillar behind her. This punch had made her completely lose the ability to resist. She struggled to get up from the ground and exclaimed, You are also at the late Desheng stage? How is it possible? How did your cultivation improve so fast? Qin Haodong sneered and said, If you want to know, ask the King of Hell. Just as he was about to step forward and kill the second elder with one punch, a powerful momentum suddenly came from behind him. Outside the palace, there were also countless figures rushing in this direction. They came really fast. Qin Haodong did not want to be trapped. He jumped up and directly pierced a big hole in the roof, and then disappeared into the night. The chapter is out of order. Correct it. Chapter 10-12. As soon as Qin Haodong left, Li Guangyao appeared in the room. When he saw Chow Yuhuan, he exclaimed, Yuhuan, what happened to you? At that moment, Chow Yuhuan felt Qin Haodong's murderous intent and thought that she was doomed. Now that she came to her senses, she jumped into Li Guangyao's arms and said, Your Majesty, I called Tang Long to the palace to see if he is a good match for Meng Yao. Who knew that he would actually lust after my beauty? This concubine refused and was beaten to this state by him. You must help this concubine. Li Guangyao was furious. He said to the masters behind him, Go get Tang Long and bring him back. The guards behind him immediately went out to catch Tang Long. After a while, they came back and said, Your Majesty, Tang Long has escaped from the palace. Chow Yuhuan cried, Your Majesty, go and catch him at the station. He must have gone back to find his woman. As the king of a country, Li Guangyao was almost cuckolded. How could he not be angry? He shouted, Lock down the Azure Dragon Royal City and bring people to the station. Catch Tang Long even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground. After giving the order, Li Guangyao rushed to the station angrily with the elders of the Azure Dragon Royal City. Unfortunately, they didn't even see a shadow when they arrived. Tang Long didn't come back. Tang Long had made enough preparations before entering the palace. Knowing that things were bad, he immediately left the Azure Dragon Royal City without hesitation. When the royal city was locked down, he was already standing on a hill outside the city with Niuzuehua and Hiziwei. Niuzuehua said, I didn't expect that the second elder is the queen of the Azure Dragon Royal City. Qin Haodong nodded and said, Your Ghost King's sect has been the enemy of the 4 kingdoms for so many years. You do have your own uniqueness. No one would have thought that the queen of the Azure Dragon Kingdom would be the second elder of the Ghost King sect. Hiziwei said, Husband, now that we have offended the royal family, what should we do next? Do we still enter the Medicine God Valley? Qin Haodong said, Of course. There are countless opportunities in an ancient relic like the Medicine God Valley. We can't let go of it. Hiziwei said worriedly, But we have completely offended the royal family. I'm afraid it won't be easy to get in. Niuzuehua smiled and said, Sister Ziwei, you are really smart. We have already offended the royal family, but we still entered the Azure Dragon Royal City. At most, I'll ask my husband to change our appearances again. At that time, who would be able to recognize us? Qin Haodong said, You're right. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Let's get ready now. We'll enter the Medicine God Valley sect in 2 days. With that, the 3 of them left the Azure Dragon Royal City and rushed to Azure Spirit Mountain. After arriving here, they saw a mountain towering into the clouds. In front of them was an empty valley. However, the valley was completely barren. There was not even a single blade of grass, let alone a single medicinal herb. As long as Qin's Qin Haodong, he. Niuzuhua said, of course not. The Medicine God Valley sect is an ancient forbidden land that only opens once every 100 years. It's not that easy to find before it opens. Qin Haodong said, don't worry about it. The Medicine God Valley is an ancient forbidden land that only opens once every 100 years. Qin Haodong said, don't worry about it. Countless people will come here to train. 2 days later, Qin Haodong changed their appearance. He disguised himself as a yellow-faced man. Niuzuehua and He Ziwei were just ordinary women. 2 days later, Qin Haodong changed the appearances of the three of them. He disguised himself as a yellow-faced man, and Niuzuehua and He Ziwei were not as beautiful as they looked. They were just ordinary women. 2 days later, Qin Haodong changed their appearance. He himself was a yellow-faced man. Niuzuehua and He Ziwei were not as beautiful as they looked. They were just ordinary women. When they walked out of the 7th pagoda, the scene in front of them was completely different. The entire Qingling mountain was crowded with cultivators. However, the valley in front of them was already surrounded by tens of thousands of Azure Dragon Kingdom soldiers, not allowing outsiders to take a single step inside. However, the valley in front of them was surrounded by tens of thousands of soldiers of the Azure Dragon Kingdom. Niuzuhua said, what's going on? He Ziwei said, it shouldn't be possible. The other 3 kingdoms wouldn't agree either. The cultivators around them were also discussing among themselves. They were furious at the Azure Dragon Kingdom's actions. Suddenly, a huge pressure rose from the valley. Li Guangyao, the king of the Azure Dragon Kingdom, rose into the air and stood in the air. Seeing the king of the Azure Dragon Kingdom, a late-stage Mahayana realm cultivator, the cultivators at the scene quieted down. I am Li Guangyao of the Azure Dragon Kingdom. I have something to tell you. Li Guangyao's words were imbued with quintessential essence, and they were clearly delivered to everyone's ears. The Medicine God Valley is about to open. Please don't misunderstand. The Azure Dragon Kingdom has no intention of monopolizing it. As soon as he said this, a tall, strong man shouted, if you don't want to monopolize it, why don't you let us in? Warrior, don't be anxious. Listen to me slowly. Li Guangyao said, everyone knows that the Ghost King sect is the common enemy of the 4 kingdoms. Recently, the Ghost King sect's activities have become more and more rampant. There are traces of them in all 4 kingdoms. If I am right, the Ghost King sect will also send people to the opening of the Medicine God Valley. The Medicine God Valley belongs to the cultivators of the 4 kingdoms, and we will not allow the Ghost King sect to touch it. Therefore, the Azure Dragon Kingdom has sealed off this area. Anyone who wants to enter the Medicine God Valley must pass our inspection. Only those who have a clear identity can enter. So the Azure Dragon Kingdom is guarding against the Ghost King sect. That is understandable. I heard that the Ghost King sect has been on a rampage recently. Not only was the Vermilion Bird spirit water stolen, but also the Azure Dragon's spirit water. The Ghost King sect has always been the enemy of the 4 kingdoms. It is time to teach them a lesson. Most of the people supported Li Guangyao's proposal, but there were also some who disagreed. Your Majesty, how will the Azure Dragon Kingdom conduct the inspection? Are we not allowed to enter if we are not related to the Azure Dragon Kingdom? Wouldn't that be unfair? Li Guangyao was prepared for this. He said, we have discussed this with the White Tiger Kingdom, the Vermilion Bird Kingdom, and the Black Tortoise Kingdom. Everyone agreed and set up 4 inspection teams. Those who want to enter the Medicine God Valley sect, you can go to the inspection team of the kingdom you belong to. As long as you pass the inspection, you can enter the Medicine God Valley sect. He waved his hand and the inspection team of the 4 kingdoms rose into the air and stood behind Li Guangyao. The inspection team of the Azure Dragon Kingdom was led by Huang Yuanqing, the principal of the Azure Dragon Academy, and Li Zhen. The inspection team of the White Tiger Kingdom was led by Wei Wentong, the principal of the White Tiger Academy, Shang Wenli, the principal of the Vermilion Bird Academy, and Luo Dongqing, the vice principal of the Black Tortoise Academy, was in charge of the inspection team of the White Tiger Kingdom. The principals of the White Tiger Kingdom and the Vermilion Bird Kingdom had both reached the late stage of the Great Vehicle Realm. Luo Dongqing was the weakest among them, only at the early stage of the Great Vehicle Realm. It was no wonder that the principal of the Black Tortoise Academy had been missing for so long. At the same time, he saw the little witch Luo Hongying, Murong Jinghong, and Tu Jiaojiao had also arrived at the Black Tortoise Kingdom. It seemed that they were going to participate in the trial of the Medicine God Valley sect. The people outside the valley saw that the four kingdoms had reached an agreement, and most of them had no objections. They were all from the four kingdoms of the Lingwu continent, and most of them could enter the Medicine God Valley sect through the inspection team of their own kingdom. A small number of people with shady identities wanted to object, but unfortunately, they were too few in number and their strength was not enough to do anything. Nyotsuhua said, "It seems that if we want to enter, we have to go through the Black Tortoise Kingdom." Their current identities and appearances were all fake, so it was almost impossible for them to enter the Medicine God Valley sect openly. Qin Haodong was from the Black Tortoise Academy and had a good relationship with Luo Dongqing. As long as he secretly revealed his identity, he should be able to enter. However, at that moment, Li Guanyao said again, "This time, we are not only investigating the Ghost King's sect, but also a thief named Qin Haodong. He colluded with the Ghost King's sect and became the enemy of the four kingdoms. If anyone dares to let him into the Medicine God Valley sect, they will become the public enemy of the other three kingdoms." As soon as he said this, Qin Haodong said, "It seems that the Azure Dragon Kingdom is here for us. Their purpose is to keep us out of the Medicine God Valley sect, or to seize the opportunity to capture us." He Ziwei said, "Then what should we do? If we go to the Black Tortoise Kingdom, will we be in trouble?" "We can't go to the Black Tortoise Kingdom." Qin Haodong sneered, "Since the Azure Dragon Kingdom is playing dirty, then I will enter through them. Let's see what they will say then." Nyotsuhua said, "Husband, do you have a plan?" Qin Haodong nodded, "Don't worry, just wait for me to enter the valley." The opening of the Medicine God Valley sect was getting closer and closer. The four inspection teams began to inspect the cultivators who came to the Medicine God Valley sect. Those who passed the inspection would immediately enter the Medicine God Valley sect and wait for the opening. The four kingdoms attached great importance to the opening of the Medicine God Valley sect. However, it was not appropriate for the kings to enter the Medicine God Valley sect in person, so they sent the presidents of the four major universities to lead the team. The presidents were surrounded by cultivators who had great potential in the Medicine God Valley sect, including students from the universities and nobles. On the side of the Black Tortoise Academy, Luo Dongqing led the inspection team. On the side of the Black Tortoise Kingdom, Princess Zhao Xingyue personally led the team. Behind her were the outstanding disciples of various nobles and nobles. The Little Witch and the others from the Black Tortoise Academy were all here. As the inspection began, the Little Witch and Zhao Xingyue stood together and stared at the crowd with their big eyes. Tu Jiaojiao came over and said to the two of them, "You don't need to look. Haodong will not enter through us." Zhao Xingyue said, "How is that possible? Other than the Black Tortoise Kingdom, where else can he get in?" Murong Jinghong said, "Jiaojiao is right. With Haodong's temperament, he would never drag our Black Tortoise Academy into this." The Little Witch scolded, "It's all those bastards from the Azure Dragon Kingdom's fault. How could they come up with such an idea to make things difficult for him?" Fang Qiong said, "Don't worry everyone, I believe that senior brother will be able to enter the Medicine God Valley sect. When has he ever disappointed us?" Correction, added one more chapter. Chapter 10:13. As time went by, more and more people entered the valley. These people either could prove to the inspection team that they were not from the Ghost King's sect or had enough evidence to prove their identities. There were also some evil cultivators and bandits. These people either couldn't prove their identities or didn't dare to reveal their identities. In the end, they left quietly and gave up the chance to enter the Medicine God Valley sect. Little Witch and the others watched for a long time, but Qin Haodong was nowhere to be seen. The inspection was over, but none of the four teams had seen Qin Haodong. Zhao Xingyue said worriedly, what's going on? Could it be that Brother Qin isn't coming? Luo Dongqing said, forget it, don't think too much. The Medicine God Valley sect is about to open. Get ready and follow me. He had mixed feelings. From the bottom of his heart, he hoped that Qin Haodong could enter the Medicine God Valley sect to gain experience. However, he represented the Black Tortoise Academy and the Black Tortoise Kingdom. Other than the people from the Black Tortoise Academy, Li Zhen and Li Mengyao also stood on the side, trying to find Qin Haodong. They had made enough preparations here. As soon as they found Qin Haodong, they would kill him immediately. Unfortunately, the inspection was over and they couldn't find the target. Li Mengyao said, brother, do you think he is too scared to come? Li Zhen said, maybe. It seems that the advice I gave to father this time worked. At least we can keep him out of the Medicine God Valley sect. Otherwise, with this guy's insane strength, if he were to obtain opportunities in the Medicine God Valley, he would definitely become a great enemy of our Azure Dragon royal family. This idea was indeed put forward by him. Li Guangyao thought it was a good idea, so he joined forces with the other three kingdoms to control the Green Spirit Mountain. The main purpose of the Azure Dragon royal family was to capture Qin Haodong. Unfortunately, they couldn't achieve this goal. They could only keep some unknown people out. Seeing Li Mengyao's reluctance, Li Zhen said, forget it, don't worry. When we come out of the Medicine God Valley sect, our strength will be greatly improved. Sooner or later, we will tear this kid into pieces. At this moment, there was a commotion in the crowd. A huge light screen appeared in the valley. This was the entrance to the Medicine God Valley sect. It turned out that the Medicine God Valley sect was not located in the Lingwu continent. Instead, a portal would appear every 100 years. This portal would only open for a quarter of an hour. If one could not enter, they would have to wait another 100 years. The Medicine God Valley sect would only be open for 3 days at a time. After 3 days, regardless of whether one wanted to leave or not, one would be sent out by a mysterious force. Li Guangyao shouted, all right, everyone can enter now. After he finished speaking, he looked around coldly. His purpose was to prevent anyone from taking advantage of the chaos. After obtaining permission, the cultivators flew up and hurriedly flew towards the space-time gate. The space-time gate was extremely mystical. As long as someone touched it, they would immediately be transported to another space. In the blink of an eye, more than half of the cultivators waiting in the valley were gone. The little she-devil scanned the empty valley. There were only a few cultivators who were not in a hurry to enter, but she still did not see Qin Haodong. Luo Dongqing said, well, let's go in first. We'll talk about that kid after we come out. Tu Jiaojiao followed and said, yeah, if we want to help Qin Haodong, we need to improve our strength. Only when we are strong enough can we help him more. After hearing her words, the girls no longer hesitated. Everyone held hands and flew towards the space-time gate together. After the people of the Black Tortoise Institute had also entered, only the people of the Azure Dragon Kingdom were left in the vast valley. Li Guangyao said to Huang Yuanqing, Li Zhen, Li Mengyao and the others, forget it, I think that brat is a coward, he won't dare to appear again. You guys hurry up and go in, any later and it will be too late. Li Zhen raised his head and channeled his power to the surrounding mountains and shouted, Qin Haodong, just you wait. When I come out of the Medicine God Valley sect, it will be the anniversary of your death. After saying that, he no longer hesitated and followed the people of the Azure Dragon Kingdom into the space-time gate. From Li Zhen's point of view, nothing would change. However, when he was about to touch the space-time gate, the scene in front of him suddenly changed. He was now on the top of the Qinglin mountain, and the space-time gate was 1,000 meters away. Originally, he was with the people of the Azure Dragon royal family, but at this moment, a figure appeared beside Li Mengyao. That person was dressed in a green robe and had a strong body. Who else could it be but Qin Haodong? Bastard! Li Zhen was completely enraged. He never thought that Qin Haodong would suddenly appear at this time and take his place. Just as he was about to sound the alarm, Qin Haodong had already entered the space-time gate and disappeared in front of his eyes. Bastard, I will make sure you die a horrible death when we reach the Medicine God Valley sect. After saying that, he flew towards the space-time gate. In his opinion, as long as he could meet up with Huang Yuanqing, he would be able to kill Qin Haodong in the Medicine God Valley sect. His flying speed was very fast, but in the end, he hit empty air and passed through the space-time gate. It turned out that the time was up and the space-time gate was closed. He had completely missed the opportunity to enter the Medicine God Valley sect. Qin. Just you wait. I'll definitely tear you into pieces. Li Zhen's angry voice echoed in the sky above the Qingling mountain. At this moment, Qin Haodong had already passed through the space-time gate. All of this was planned by him. After reaching the late stage of the Mahayana realm, his space displacement art could travel more than 2,000 meters. Therefore, he had already let Niu Zuehua and He Ziwei enter the 7th stage pagoda. After choosing a position, his primordial spirit locked onto Li Zhen, who was in the valley. Just as the people of the Azure Dragon royal family were about to enter the space-time gate, he suddenly changed Li Zhen's position and entered the Medicine God Valley sect in Li Zhen's place. Moreover, he did not hide anything this time. He directly removed the disguise on his face and revealed his true appearance. This way, he could wash away the suspense of the Black Tortoise Kingdom and give the Azure Dragon Kingdom a slap in the face. Obviously, this move was out of everyone's expectation, including Li Guangyao, who was in the late stage of the Mahayana realm. His face was burning and his expression was extremely ugly. He completely did not expect that Qin Haodong would enter the Medicine God Valley sect in such a way. The Azure Dragon Kingdom had sent out tens of thousands of troops and prepared for so long, but in the end, they were defeated with one move. They did not have any effect at all. Before this, he was still clamoring that if anyone dared to let Qin Haodong enter the Medicine God Valley sect, they would be the public enemy of the other 3 kingdoms. But now, Qin Haodong had entered the space-time gate with the Azure Dragon royal family. What could he say? Qin Haodong could not see any of this. After passing through the space-time gate, he appeared in the sky above a clear lake. Originally, he was tense and ready to fight at any moment. However, there was no one around him. The people of the Azure Dragon royal family had all been teleported to an unknown place. No wonder those powerful people entered the space-time gate hand in hand. It was so that they would not be separated during the teleportation process. However, this was also good. It saved him a lot of trouble. With a thought, he released Niu Zuehua and He Ziwei from the 7th stage pagoda. Wow, it's so beautiful here. After the 2 girls came out, they were immediately attracted by the scenery. This place was indeed very beautiful. It was like a paradise on earth. The mountains were clear and the water was clear. The green grass was like a cushion. Most importantly, the spirit chi was extremely dense. It was not much different from the 7th floor of the 7th stage pagoda. It gave people the urge to cultivate immediately. No wonder it was called the Medicine God Valley sect. Only a paradise like this could cultivate supreme-grade spirit herbs. He Ziwei crossed her arms in front of her chest and said with a sigh, "This is really a good place. If only we could live here forever." Niu Zuehua said, "That's not possible. The Medicine God Valley sect is only open for 3 days. After 3 days, everyone will be kicked out. Let's hurry up and find spirit herbs." Qin Haodong said as he spread out his powerful primordial spirit. However, he found that this place was very big and he could not see the end of it. The 3 of them slowly flew forward, searching for spirit herbs as they flew. This place was indeed worthy of being called the Medicine God Valley sect. Spirit herbs that were hard to find outside could be seen everywhere. Qin Haodong's heart was filled with joy. He kept sending spirit herbs into the 7th stage pagoda. Just as he was about to dig up a mature Ganoderma, he smelled a faint aroma. Niu Zuehua sniffed and said, "What is it that smells so good?" He Ziwei said, "This smell is a bit familiar." Qin Haodong said, "This is the aroma of the earth vein spirit fruits when they are about to ripen. Let's go and have a look." The three of them flew toward the direction of the aroma. There were 3 red earth vein spirit fruits on top of a small hill. Each of them bore 5 fruits. Qin Haodong didn't expect that the earth vein spirit fruits, which were extremely rare in the Lingwu continent, could be found everywhere in the Medicine God Valley sect. Nyotsuihua exclaimed, "I didn't expect there to be so many." Qin Haodong took a look and found that the fruits were not fully ripe yet. It seemed that he would have to wait for another hour or 2. Just as he was about to speed up the ripening of the earth vein spirit fruits, he suddenly heard the sound of sword chi piercing through the air. Then, 4 form synthesis stage cultivators arrived. The leader of the 4 was a man with a big beard. He had reached the peak of the form synthesis stage. When he saw the 3 earth vein spirit fruits, his eyes lit up. Then, he laughed out loud, "Kid, you are lucky to find so many earth vein spirit fruits at once." A long-haired cultivator next to him said, "Big brother, you are wrong. We are the lucky ones. We found so many earth vein spirit fruits at once, and there are 2 pretty girls." As the man spoke, his eyes wandered between He Ziwei and Nyotsuehua. "You are right." He glared at Qin Haodong and said, "Did you hear that? Get out of here, and leave these 2 girls here." Qin Haodong was speechless. There were idiots every year, but not this year. How dare a form synthesis stage cultivator act so arrogantly in front of him? With his current level of cultivation, he could kill these people with a snap of his fingers. Seeing the arrogance of these people, He Ziwei said angrily, "We found these earth vein spirit fruits first. What does it have to do with you?" The bearded man looked at He Ziwei up and down. He said with a smile, "You are right. These things are yours, but you will soon belong to me. Isn't it the same?" Nyotsuihua stopped He Ziwei, who was about to lose her temper. She twisted her sexy body and said, "Sir, are you going to take me away?" Seeing her mature charm, the bearded man was about to drool. "Yes, I like mature women like you," the bearded man said and reached out to touch Nyotsuehua's face. But as soon as he stretched out his hand, he flew backward like a cannonball and fell to the ground, dead. The first elder of the Ghost King sect was not someone anyone could flirt with. After killing the bearded man with a slap, Nyotsuehua still had a charming smile on her face. She turned to the other 3 people and said, "Who else likes me?" Chapter 10:14. At this moment, the 3 cultivators were drenched in cold sweat. To be able to kill the bearded man with the highest cultivation among them, he must be at least a Mahayana stage cultivator. Harassing a Dashang stage cultivator, this was simply looking for a long life. At this moment, another dozen cultivators rushed over, led by the principal of the Vermilion Bird Academy, Shang Wenli. Next to him was the cold-looking vice principal, Lu Xiaofu. "Principal Shang, you are finally here." The long-haired cultivator saw the people from the Vermilion Bird Academy as if he had seen his savior. They were cultivators from the Vermilion Bird Kingdom and had some connections with Shang Wenli. "Principal Shang, we found the earth vein spirit fruit first, but this woman came and killed our boss without saying a word." Nyotsuehua still had a charming smile on her face, but a trace of disdain flashed in her eyes. She had no interest in explaining this kind of thing. Shang Wenli looked at Qin Haodong's group coldly and said, "The treasure is good, but don't you think it's a bit over the line to kill people over an earth vein spirit fruit?" At this moment, Lu Xiaofu cried out, "Qin Haodong, how did you get in here?" She had seen everything clearly from outside. The Azure Dragon Kingdom was searching for this person, but she didn't expect him to appear in the Medicine God Valley sect again. Qin Haodong said, "Of course I came in openly." Shang Wenli turned to look at him, "You are Qin Haodong?" "That's right, it's me." Shang Wenli was overjoyed. He had his eyes on the earth vein spirit fruit, but he didn't want to lose face as the principal of the Vermilion Bird Academy. But things were different now. Qin Haodong had been listed as the public enemy of the Four Kingdoms, so he could make a move openly. He said, "I heard that you are a good cultivator and the champion of the Four Kingdoms exchange tournament. Unfortunately, you went astray at such a young age and colluded with the demons of the Ghost King sect. Come with me now, and maybe the Azure Dragon royal family will let you off lightly." As soon as his voice fell, Nyotsuhua said, "You old man, what right do you have to talk to my husband like this?" Shang Wenli's expression changed. As the principal of the Vermilion Bird Academy, his status in the Vermilion Bird Kingdom was second only to the king, Zhao Xianlong. He looked at Nyotsuehua and said, "Who are you? How dare you talk to me like this?" Nyotsuehua smiled and said, "I am the Ghost King sect demon that you mentioned, how about it? Do you want to capture me as well?" Shang Wenli's expression was gloomy as he said, "People from the Ghost King sect, looks like I will have to subdue the demon today." Nyotsuehua curled her lips in disdain. "You're a whore, and you still want to maintain your chastity? You're clearly trying to snatch these earth vein spirit fruits, but you still have to give yourself a dignified reason. Alright, if you want to make a move, then make a move. My time is limited. Demoness, you're courting death." Shang Wenli had many disciples, and a body integration stage cultivator beside him shouted loudly. He raised his hand and tried to grab Nyotsuehua. This man had already reached the pinnacle of the body integration stage, and in his eyes, this woman was only in her 20s, so her cultivation base shouldn't be very high. Annoying fly, get lost. Nyotsuehua raised her palm and slapped the cultivator like she was swatting a fly. The cultivator was sent flying dozens of meters away, smashing into a huge boulder and turning into meat paste. Everyone was taken aback. The woman in front of them was indeed an overlord of the great vehicle level. Shang Wenli's expression changed slightly, but he didn't think too much about it. He was a late-stage great vehicle level cultivator. Alright, don't waste time. Everyone, come with me to slay the demon. He didn't take these people seriously, but he only had 3 days in the Medicine God Valley sect, so he didn't have much time to waste. So saying, he moved his body and reached out to grab Nyotsuehua. Nyotsuehua didn't back down and threw out a punch. The two of them clashed head-on. Shang Wenli stumbled back a dozen steps. Caught off guard, he was at a disadvantage. "You are a late-stage great vehicle level cultivator?" Shang Wenli's expression suddenly turned serious. His opponent's cultivation level was no weaker than his. "Now you know what I am capable of." So saying, Nyotsuehua punched out with both of her fists, and the powerful chi energy swallowed Shang Wenli whole. Shang Wenli took a deep breath, and this time, he didn't dare to be careless. He used all of his strength to fight back. Both of them were at the late stage of great vehicle level, and the gap in their cultivation level was not big. After being shocked by Nyotsuehua's cultivation level, Lu Xiaofu no longer hesitated. She pulled out the long sword on her back and slashed at Qin Haodong. In her opinion, as long as she caught Qin Haodong, it was equivalent to holding a hostage. But unexpectedly, as soon as she slashed out with the long sword in her hand, a huge figure suddenly appeared in front of her. Ow! The earth bear roared and raised its paw to slap Lu Xiaofu. At the same time, the two flame golden-eyed beasts also rushed to the other people of the Vermilion Bird Academy. For a time, the situation on the field changed dramatically. The Vermilion Bird Academy had the absolute advantage just now, but in the blink of an eye, the situation was completely reversed. Shang Wenli was entangled by Nyotsuehua and didn't have the upper hand at all. He couldn't help when he saw others in danger. Lu Xiaofu's long sword slashed hard on the claws of the earth bear. She was only at the early stage of great vehicle level and couldn't even break the basic defense of the earth bear. Not only did this slash fail, but she was also slapped away by the earth bear. She fell to the ground and spat out mouthfuls of blood. As for the other people of the academy, the highest cultivation level was only at the peak of the form synthesis realm. They were no match for the two flame golden-eyed beasts. At first, these people wanted to have a try because they had a large number of people. But in just a face-to-face confrontation, these people were all turned into ashes by the flames of the flame golden-eyed beasts. Shang Wenli turned pale with fright. The opponent's strength was too strong, almost terrifying. No wonder the Azure Dragon Kingdom valued it so much. Retreat. He realized that he had kicked an iron plate. If he continued to fight, all of them would be wiped out. After shouting, he didn't care about Nyotsuehua anymore. He grabbed the injured Lu Xiaofu and ran away at top speed. The long-haired cultivator and the other two were completely dumbfounded. They had thought that when the dean of the Vermilion Bird Academy arrived, he would definitely avenge the bearded man. But they didn't expect that the opponent was so strong that even Shang Wenli was beaten into a mess. What did they do just now? How dare they attack a cultivator of the great vehicle stage? Before they could figure it out, the flame golden-eyed beast spat out a mouthful of flames and the three of them were instantly turned into nothingness. After taking care of these people, Qin Haodong came to the earth vein spirit fruits and ripened them with green wood genuine qi. Then he put them into the storage ring. After that, the three of them continued to collect spirit herbs in the Medicine God Valley. A few hours later. Suddenly, Qin Haodong keenly sensed a huge energy fluctuation coming from afar. Nyotsuehua also felt it. This is a fight between a cultivator of the great vehicle stage. Qin Haodong said, "Let's go and have a look." Generally speaking, if a cultivator of the great vehicle stage would fight for it, it must be something good. The three of them sped in the direction of the energy fluctuation. Beside a pond not far away, Luo Dongqing covered her chest with her hand. A stream of dark red blood flowed down from the corner of her mouth. In front of them stood a dozen people. The leader was the dean of the White Tiger Academy, Wei Wentong, and the vice dean, Song Tian. Little she-devil stepped forward and said, "Grandpa, are you okay?" Luo Dongqing waved her hand and wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. She said angrily, "Wei Wentong, you are the dean of the White Tiger Academy. Don't you have any shame?" Little she-devil also shouted, "This sacred Jelon fruit was originally found by the Black Tortoise Academy. What right do you have to fight for it?" At this moment, in the pond behind them, there was an unknown plant. It was about 2 meters above the water. There were 3 dark blue fruits growing on it, exuding an enchanting aroma. This was one of the top divine herbs in the Lingwu continent, the Canaan fruit. This fruit originally had no effect, but it had an extremely powerful auxiliary effect. Once it was refined into an elixir, no matter what elixir it was taken with, it could double the effect of the elixir. Because of this special effect, it had the title of sacred fruit. At the same time, it was also a treasure that countless people wanted. Song Tian took 2 steps forward and said with a proud face, "Old man Luo, you are also old, why are you so ignorant? Although this sacred Jelon fruit was found by you first, so what? Can you defend it? Listen to my advice, hurry up and scram. If you are lucky, you may be able to find other good things. This kind of treasure is not something that a small Black Tortoise Academy like you can defend." Luo Dongqing was so angry that his beard twitched. It was a pity that Wei Wentong was an expert in the late Great Ascension stage, and he was only in the early Great Ascension stage. The difference in cultivation between the two was too big. They had just exchanged blows, but a casual wave of Wei Wentong's hand had shaken him to the point that his internal organs were displaced, and his inner mansion suffered heavy damage. There was no other way, the situation was stronger than people. The Black Tortoise Academy was indeed too weak. Apart from him, there was not even a Great Ascension stage expert. Tu Jiaojiao, Murong Jinghong, Little She-Devil, and the others, no matter which one of them, were young talents. It was a pity that they were too young, and only had a cultivation of the form synthesis stage. They simply could not compete with Wei Wentong. He took a deep breath, suppressed the anger in his heart, and said sullenly, "How about this? There are a total of 3 sacred Jelon fruits. I can give one to your White Tiger Academy, is that okay?" Song Tian chuckled, "Old man Luo, it seems that you still haven't seen the situation clearly. Our Dean Wei is an expert in the late Great Ascension stage. How can one sacred Jelan fruit be enough? Little she-devil said angrily, don't go too far. This sacred Jelan fruit was clearly found by us first. It's already very good that we can give you one. Song Tian said, what's the use of discovering it first? Do you have the ability to defend it? Song Tian stopped little she-devil, who was about to explode, and said again, how about this? Your White Tiger Academy will take 2, but you have to leave 1 for our Black Tortoise Academy. At this time, Wei Wentong, who had been wearing a cold face, spoke. Luo Dongqing, I really don't know who gave you the courage. Now, this old man will give you 2 choices. Either die or get lost. There is no sacred Jelan fruit for you. Chapter 10:15. Damn old man, you've gone too far. The little demon girl was enraged. She immediately used a summoning spell and opened the Holy Spirit gate. Wei Wentong's face was full of arrogance, as if he didn't care about this at all. Roar, a series of roars rang out from within the gate of life. Immediately after that, 5 massive thunder leopards emerged from the gate of life. Accompanied by bolts of lightning, they pounced at Wei Wentong. Little girl, if you had summoned an 8th order magical beast, this old man might be afraid. Unfortunately, these 7th order magical beasts are useless. After saying that, he raised his left hand and punched 5 times in a row. The thunder leopard was a 7th order magical beast, comparable to a late-stage body integration cultivator. Unfortunately, Wei Wentong was a late-stage Grand Ascension stage cultivator. In front of his fists, the thunder leopard had no chance to resist and was smashed into meat paste in the blink of an eye. At this moment, everyone from the Black Tortoise Institute wore a solemn expression. This guy was too strong. Luo Dongqing said, Wei Wentong, no matter what, our Black Tortoise Institute represents the Black Tortoise Kingdom. There is an agreement between the 4 kingdoms. Don't you think it's inappropriate to bully others like this? 4 kingdoms? Wei Wentong's lips curled into a cold smile. Luo Dongqing, I'm afraid you don't know yet. Before entering the Medicine God Valley, the Azure Dragon Kingdom, the White Tiger Kingdom, and the Vermilion Bird Kingdom had reached an agreement. After the Medicine God Valley closes, they will immediately join forces to destroy your Black Tortoise Kingdom. From then on, there will only be 3 kingdoms in the Lingwu continent. Hearing this news, Luo Dongqing's expression changed drastically. She didn't expect the other 3 kingdoms to have such a big conspiracy. Moreover, since Wei Wentong told her such important news, it meant that he was going to kill them. Sure enough, Wei Wentong continued with a cold smile, if you were smart enough to get out of here, you might be able to live for a few more days. But now, there is no chance. Today, none of you will live. All of you will die here. Song Tian said proudly, Luo Dongqing, aren't you very powerful? Are you dumbfounded now? You can't blame anyone else. Blame your Black Tortoise Institute for being too weak. Without strength, you can only be trampled upon. A feeling of helplessness surfaced in the hearts of the people from the Black Tortoise Academy. Indeed, when faced with the powerful White Tiger Academy, they did not have any ability to resist. But right at this moment, a cold voice sounded. Who dares to look down on the Black Tortoise Institute? Qin Haodong, Niuzuehua, and He Ziwei descended from the sky and landed beside Luo Dongqing. He glanced at Song Tian and proudly said, from today onwards, the Black Tortoise Institute will be the strongest institute in the Lingwu continent. The 4 great institutes will respect the Black Tortoise Institute. Song Tian's expression changed drastically. Qin Haodong, it's you. I didn't expect you to enter the Medicine God Valley sect. On the other hand, the Black Tortoise region was pleasantly surprised. Little she-devil and the others immediately came up to him. Little big brother, you really came. Senior brother, I finally get to see you. Haodong, you're here. While the girls cheered, Luo Dongqing sighed. In his opinion, Qin Haodong rushing over at this time was no different from courting death. Unfortunately, it was too late to stop him. Qin Haodong nodded to everyone, then said to Song Tian with a cold smile, "What's there to be afraid of? Just because of the trash from your White Tiger Institute?" Hearing that the person in front of him was Qin Haodong, Wei Wentong said with a cold expression, "Kid, you're quite brave. I wonder if you have the strength to spout such nonsense." Song Tian said, "Dean, the Azure Dragon Kingdom wants to capture this kid." Wei Wentong waved his hand and said with a face full of arrogance, "Kneel down and beg for mercy, then tie yourself up. I can let you live for a few more days." Qin Haodong smiled and said, "Since Dean Wei is so generous, then I can't be stingy. All of you from the White Tiger Institute kneel down and beg for mercy, then tie yourself up. If you can beg for Dean Luo's forgiveness, I can also spare your lives. Kid, you're courting death." Wei Wentong was furious. He suddenly stretched out his right hand, and the true qi that gushed out transformed into a giant true qi hand, fiercely grabbing towards Qin Haodong. The corner of Qin Haodong's mouth curled into a sneer, and he raised his hand to slap Wei Wentong. Seeing that Qin Haodong actually dared to confront Wei Wentong, Song Tian's face revealed a ruthless expression. In his eyes, Qin Haodong was already a dead man. Luo Dongqing and the others also had a face full of shock. Even if Qin Haodong's talent was extremely high, even if his cultivation progressed extremely quickly, Wei Wentong was in existence in the late Mahayana realm. How could an ordinary person contend against him? But the next scene made everyone's eyes pop out. Qin Haodong's seemingly ordinary slap directly smashed Wei Wentong's true qi hand, and then slapped him on the face. A late Mahayana realm expert, the dignified dean of the White Tiger Institute, was actually slapped away like a grandson, fiercely crashing into a large tree at the side. In an instant, the entire valley became quiet, so quiet that one could hear breathing. Everyone couldn't believe that everything in front of them was real, especially the people from the White Tiger Institute. No one had ever seen their dean beaten up like this. The little she-devil came back to her senses, stepped forward and hugged Qin Haodong's arm, fiercely kissing him on the cheek. "Little big brother, you're really too great. This old man is really bad, teach him a lesson." Wei Wentong got up from the ground. Ever since he stepped into the Mahayana realm, he had never suffered such a big loss. For a moment, he was ashamed into anger, and his face was ferocious. In his view, his defeat just now was completely due to carelessness, and he did not use his full strength. "Kid, this old man must peel your skin and pull out your tendons today." The true qi in Wei Wentong's body grew wildly, and the aura belonging to a late Mahayana realm expert swept out, causing the surrounding people to be unable to breathe. "Go to hell." This time, he used his full strength, and smashed his fist towards Qin Haodong. The full-strength attack of a late Mahayana realm expert could be said to be earth-shattering, and the powerful force directly shook the surrounding people tens of meters away. Qin Haodong was not moved in the slightest. He still raised his right hand, and slapped out again. The same formula, the same taste. Although Wei Wentong had tried his best this time, there was still a sharp pain on his cheek, and then he flew out with a swoosh. This slap was so heavy that even half of his teeth were knocked out. This time, Song Tian and the others were completely dumbfounded. They never thought that in just a few days, Qin Haodong would grow to such an extent that even Wei Wentong was beaten like a dog. How strong was this kind of strength? After the shock, they all gathered around Wei Wentong, and some people even began to tremble. The scene of bullying Black Tortoise College just now had a 180-degree reversal. Qin Haodong walked over step by step, and after glancing around, he said, "As one of the 4 major colleges of Lingwu continent, it's fine if you just want to snatch treasures, but you actually have the intention to kill Black Tortoise College. For this reason alone, you can't be left alive." Speaking of this, he released a strong killing intent. Black Tortoise College could be said to be his home in Lingwu continent, and the Black Tortoise royal family also had a deep relationship with him, especially Zhao Xingyue, who was engaged to him. And just now, Wei Wentong had the intention to kill everyone in Black Tortoise Kingdom, which completely touched his reverse scale. Feeling the monstrous killing intent, Wei Wentong's heart surged with a fear of death, and he couldn't even muster the courage to resist. "Run!" he shouted, and then his whole body sprang up like a meteor, flying into the distance. But Qin Haodong was already prepared, and the Xianyuan's sword was faster than him. Wei Wentong had just flown a distance of 100 meters when the Xianyuan's sword had already pierced through his chest, leaving a transparent hole in his chest. "Ah!" Wei Wentong screamed and fell to the ground with a plop. The dean of White Tiger College, a powerhouse in the late Mahayana realm, an existence second only to the king of the White Tiger Kingdom, was killed with a sword just like that. Seeing that the dean was dead, Song Tian was so scared that he plopped to the ground. "Mr. Qin, Dean Luo, please let us go this time." Although the killing intent on Qin Haodong's body had weakened a little, he still said with a cold expression, "If I hadn't rushed over today, would you have let the people of Black Tortoise College go?" After saying that, he turned around and no longer looked at Song Tian and the others. At this moment, an earth-shattering roar sounded, and the Earth Bear led 2 flaming golden-eyed beasts out. Seeing the 3 Class 8 fierce beasts that rushed out, Song Tian and the others were scared out of their wits and turned around to escape, but unfortunately, how could they escape with their cultivation? In just the blink of an eye, screams rang out, and finally, these people all turned into nothingness in the flames. "My God, little brother, when did you become so powerful? I love you to death." The little she-devil jumped into Qin Haodong's arms, her hands around his neck, and kissed him fiercely. Okay, let me take a look at Dean Luo's injury." Qin Haodong pushed the little she-devil away and turned to Luo Dongqing. "Dean Luo, how are your injuries?" "I'm fine, I won't die." At this moment, Luo Dongqing recovered from the shock and sighed, "Stinking brat, it's all thanks to you today. The best decision I, Luo Dongqing, have made in my life is to enroll you in Black Tortoise Academy." Qin Haodong took his pulse, and although his injuries were serious, there was no immediate danger to his life. "Dean, come with me to treat your injuries first." Qin Haodong's mind moved, and he directly sent everyone into the 7th stage pagoda. After explaining the origins of the 7th stage pagoda to Luo Dongqing, he took out the pulse-nourishing pills and gave 1 to 2 Jiao Jiao, Murong Jinghong, and the other girls, so that they could start improving their cultivation. After that, he took out an earth vein spirit fruit and threw it to the little she-devil. "Girl, see if this thing can awaken your sacred spirit physique for the 3rd time." Luo Dongqing exclaimed, "Oh my God, is this an earth vein spirit fruit?" For the sake of his granddaughter's physique, he had searched for all kinds of natural treasures, so he naturally knew how precious an earth vein spirit fruit was. It was a pity that after so many years, he hadn't been able to get his hands on a single one. He didn't expect it to appear in Qin Haodong's hands. Qin Haodong laughed, "What's there to be surprised about? I have a lot of these things now, Dean Luo. If you want to eat one, it'll be fine." Luo Dongqing waved his hand and said, "Forget it, I don't have a sacred spirit physique. If I eat this thing, my body will definitely explode and I'll die." At this time, the little she-devil had already finished eating the fruit. She wiped the purple liquid off her mouth and said, "This thing tastes pretty good, but I don't feel anything after eating it." Chapter 10:16. Seeing that the little demon girl had no reaction after eating the fruit, Nyotsuiwa asked, "Honey, is it possible that the earth vein spirit fruit in the Medicine God Valley sect has no effect?" "It shouldn't be." As Emperor Green would, Qin Haodong was well aware of the properties and effects of the earth vein spirit fruit. With a thought, he summoned the earth bear and the flame golden eyes beast from the spirit beast bag. Then, he threw out 3 earth vein spirit fruits, 1 for each magical beast. The earth bear's eyes lit up when it saw the earth vein spirit fruit. It had waited for so long, but in the end, it didn't get to eat a single one. Now that its master had rewarded it, it immediately opened its mouth wide and swallowed the earth vein spirit fruit. The 2 blazing golden eyes beasts did the same. They hurriedly swallowed the earth vein spirit fruit. Not long after, the auras of the 3 magical beasts suddenly rose. The Earth Bear's original body was like a small mountain, but now it suddenly grew a bit bigger. Impressively, it had advanced. Now, even if a powerhouse in the late Desheng stage was in front of it, it could also slap him to death. It was the same for the other two blazing golden-eyed beasts. The flames they spat out had already reached the level of connate fire, causing the temperature in the pagoda to rise immediately. Luo Dongqing and the others turned pale with fright. Generally speaking, after a magical beast reached adulthood, its level would be fixed. Without special circumstances, it would be very difficult to increase it. Only magical beasts with dragon bloodlines could continuously increase their strength. After eating the earth vein spirit fruit, the bloodline power of these three demonic beasts had improved tremendously, each of them breaking through a tear. Alright, you guys can go back. It's really too noisy. Qin Haodong moved his mind and put the three excited magical beasts back into the spirit beast bag. Through the earlier verification, he could tell that the three earth vein spirit fruits were truly good stuff. At the same time, many people were confused. Why did the earth bear have an effect after eating it, but the little demoness didn't have any effect after eating it? The little she-devil giggled and said, "Little brother, do you have more?" "It must be because I didn't eat enough." She was a foodie to begin with. Whether the food was effective or not was secondary. The key was that it was too delicious. Qin Haodong smiled and said, "Go ahead. I still have a lot here. Let's see how much you can eat." As he spoke, he took out 5 earth vein spirit fruits and held them in his palm. Luo Dongqing was speechless. If this was the Lingwu continent, this spirit fruit would be enough to set off a bloodbath and cause everyone to fight over it. But now he asked his granddaughter to eat it as a snack. Only Qin Haodong could be so generous. The little she-devil did not stand on ceremony as she stuffed the earth vein spirit fruits into her mouth one after another. The bright red juice flowed down from the corner of her mouth. Delicious, this thing is simply too delicious. After she ate another 4 pills, she suddenly felt sleepy. Then, she closed her eyes and fell asleep on the ground. Qin Haodong felt her pulse and confirmed that there was nothing wrong with her body. This was the 3rd sleep of the Holy Spirit body. At the same time, he was filled with anticipation for this little girl. After eating an entire tree of earth vein spirit fruits, he wondered what heights she would reach this time. After letting the little she-devil lie down, he took out his needle bag and began to treat Luo Dongqing's injury. An hour later, Luo Dongqing's injury was completely healed. At the same time, Tu Jiaojiao, Murong Jinghong, Yun Xianxian and the others also started to break through. These people were all at the mid-stage of the body integration realm. After taking the Meridian Rejuvenation pill, they broke through 2 levels and reached the peak of the body integration realm. The little she-devil was still in a deep sleep and showed no signs of waking up. Qin Haodong did not wait for her. There was no safer place in the world than the 7th pagoda. He brought the others back to the Medicine God Valley sect and continued to search for spirit medicines. In the blink of an eye, a day had passed. Qin Haodong and the others slowly arrived at the center of the Medicine God Valley sect. There were already hundreds and thousands of cultivators gathered there. Nyoutsuhua said, "Husband, let's go have a look. There must be some good treasures in front of us." Qin Haodong nodded and hurried into the crowd. When they got closer, they saw that there was a huge herb garden in the center of the Medicine God Valley sect. There were all kinds of spirit medicines growing in the garden, each of which was worth a fortune. There was a small wooden hut in the middle of the herb garden. In front of the hut was a spirit marrow pond that was dozens of square meters wide. It was constantly emitting thick spirit qi. Qin Haodong's eyes lit up. The spirit marrow pond was definitely a treasure of heaven and earth. It was as sticky as glue and as beautiful as amber. It was formed by the concentrated spirit qi. If he could get his hands on the spirit marrow pond, he would definitely be able to reach the peak of the Mahayana stage. However, different from the herbs in other places, this herb garden was protected by a powerful inhibition formation. It was so powerful that it struck fear into the hearts of all the cultivators. There were almost 1,000 cultivators. The most powerful cultivators were Huang Yuanqing of the Azure Dragon Institute and Shang Wenli of the Vermilion Bird Institute. They led the others in attacking the inhibition formation. However, after a long time, there was no response. They couldn't even cause a ripple on the inhibition formation. At that moment, everyone's eyes were filled with greed and anxiety. They were like beggars who had been starving for 3 days and suddenly saw a roasted chicken, but they couldn't eat it. Qin Haodong knew that this herb garden was definitely not that simple. Otherwise, it would have been picked up by the people in front of him since it only opened once every 100 years. It could be seen that the spirit marrow pond had been condensed for at least thousands of years. That was to say, no one had been able to break the inhibition formation here for thousands of years. At that moment, he suddenly saw a statue erected in the middle of the herb garden. He suddenly stood there with a dull look. It was a wooden statue. It seemed that the carving technique was not very good and the statue did not look very exquisite. However, at that moment, Qin Haodong could clearly feel that the statue was looking at him. What's going on? Just as Qin Haodong was puzzled, a voice sounded in his mind. The person I've been waiting for, you're finally here. Qin Haodong asked subconsciously, who are you? Are you waiting for me? The voice said, I'm the master of this place. They all call me the Medicine God. The Medicine God Valley sect is the inheritance I left in the Lingwu continent. Only those who have a 100% wood elemental physique and cultivate wood elemental cultivation methods can become its inheritor. You just meet this condition. Come in and take the child to receive my inheritance. Qin Haodong finally understood why so many people couldn't break the inhibition formation here. It was because the attributes of physiques and cultivation methods were different. It was extremely rare in this world to have a 100% wood elemental physique. Otherwise, the Immerse would not have taken him away from the earth indiscriminately. He asked in his mind, how can I get in? The voice said, just walk in. Senior, please wait a moment. After Qin Haodong responded in his mind, he turned to Luo Dongqing and the others and said, wait for me here. I'll go in and have a look. Niu Tsuihua said in surprise, husband, the inhibition formation here is too strong. How can you get in? Qin Haodong said, don't worry, I have a way. After that, he went straight in the direction of the herb garden. The surrounding cultivators were staring at the spirit herbs in the herb garden anxiously. Suddenly, they saw a young man walking straight in as if he didn't know about the inhibition formation. What's wrong with this person? Is he crazy? We've been attacking for so long, but we can't shake the inhibition formation at all. He just goes straight in. Is there something wrong with his head? On the other side of the crowd, Li Mengyao suddenly saw Qin Haodong. Her expression suddenly changed. She said to Huang Yuanqing next to her, Dean Huang, Qin Haodong really came. Next to Huang Yuanqing was Shang Wenli, the dean of the Vermilion Bird Academy. The two of them had joined forces in order to get the spirit herbs in the herb garden. He said, Dean Huang, it was this guy who hurt the people of our Vermilion Bird Academy with Warcraft just now. Huang Yuanqing said disdainfully, isn't it just a few Warcraft beasts? When we get the spirit herbs here and work together, I'm afraid that we can't deal with those beasts. Li Mengyao said, what is he going to do? Shang Wenli sneered and said, it seems that he wants to go straight into the herb garden. How is that possible? Does he really think he's an immortal? As soon as he said that, his eyes suddenly widened and he looked at everything in front of him with an incredulous face. Seeing that Qin Haodong really walked into the herb garden, he walked straight to the small wooden house in the garden along the stone path. My God, what's going on? Who is that person? We've been fighting for so long and we haven't been able to get in. How did he get in? Could it be that we've been cheated? We don't need to break this restriction at all and we can just walk in? As they spoke, a cultivator rushed into the restriction excitedly. Looking at him, it seemed that the treasure would be taken away by others if he was a little slower. But as a result, with a bang, the man seemed to have hit an iron wall and was bounced back by the restriction of the herb garden. It turned out that the restriction still existed and they couldn't get in at all. Li Mengyao cried, "Dean, what's going on? Why can't we get in, but he seems to be going home?" Huang Yuanqing said with a heavy expression, "There must be something strange about this guy that we don't know." Shang Wenli said, "What should we do? We can't just watch the treasure that we've been guarding for so long be taken away by him alone, can we?" A cold smile appeared at the corner of Huang Yuanqing's mouth. "With us here, can he take it away? When this guy comes out, we'll directly kill him and the people of Black Tortoise College. All the treasures will be ours." Shang Wenli said, "Dean Huang is right, but this guy's woman is very powerful and has reached the late Deshang stage. Why don't we kill her now and wait for Qin Haodong to come out? It'll be much easier." Huang Yuanqing nodded and said, "That's a good idea. Take those women as hostages so that this guy won't run away after he comes out." Chapter 10:17. Under the watchful eyes of many people, Qin Haodong gently pushed open the door of the cabin and stepped in. After coming in, he found that the space inside the cabin was much larger than it looked from the outside. Obviously, it was built with a space array. It could be seen that the previous owner of this place had a deep understanding of the space array. The wooden hut was empty except for a green crystal staff in the middle. Qin Haodong took 2 steps forward. At this time, a light flashed inside the cabin and an illusory image appeared in front of him. This was an old man in black with white hair and beard, who looked very similar to the statue outside. It should be the image of the divine sense left by the drug god. "Young man, you are finally here." Junior Qin Haodong greets senior medicine god. With that said, he respectfully bowed to the drug god's influence. The drug god looked at him and nodded. "Young man, you are good. I have ascended to the immortal world many years ago. From now on, you are the owner of this Medicine God Valley sect." Junior thanks senior medicine god. Qin Haodong bowed again and then said, "Junior is a little confused. When you ascended, why didn't you take the Medicine God Valley sect with you?" "It's not that I don't want to, but I can't." The drug god said, "This Medicine God Valley sect was not created by me, but a miracle left by an ancient power. I don't know what kind of unique means that the senior used, but unexpectedly opened up a separate space and created the Medicine God Valley sect. And there is only one door to the Medicine God Valley sect, which is the space door to the Lingwu continent. So although the Medicine God Valley sect is good, it can only be passed on to future generations and can't be taken away." After listening to the drug god, Qin Haodong understood a little. The ancient power should be a cultivator of the Lingwu continent, and the creation of the Medicine God Valley sect was a reward for his hometown. The drug god continued, "I have saved countless people with the help of the Medicine God Valley sect, and at the same time, I have quickly improved my cultivation. I can ascend to immortality in just 1,000 years. I hope that after you receive the inheritance of the Medicine God Valley sect, you can still benefit future generations and continue to pass it on to future generations in the future." Qin Haodong nodded and said, "Senior, rest assured, if one day I can ascend, I will be like you and find a suitable successor for the Medicine God Valley sect." Although he said that, he had another plan in mind. With his current cultivation, he was not far from transcending the tribulation and ascending. However, once he ascended, he would have to bid farewell to his family once again. This was clearly not what he wanted. His current thought is that if he could open up a portal to return to Earth, he could bring his family to live in the Medicine God Valley sect. He wouldn't need to find an inheritor for the time being. The medicine god nodded with satisfaction, pointed to the green crystal staff and said, "Now that you have it in your hand, it is equivalent to controlling the entire Medicine God Valley. Then you will be the god here. Once I have found a successor for the Medicine God Valley sect, I will leave with a peace of mind." With that, the illusionary image of the drug god turned into specks of starlight and disappeared into nothingness. Qin Haodong walked over and reached out to grab the crystal staff. The moment the staff was in his hand, he instantly understood the meaning of the medicine myth. At that moment, everything in the Medicine God Valley sect was reflected in his mind. Every blade of grass, every tree, every insect, every bird and beast was under his control. Even the cultivators who came to the Medicine God Valley sect were able to see every move they made. This made him extremely excited. All the herbs in the Medicine God Valley sect belonged to him. The spirit marrow in the spirit pool was also his. He didn't need to wait for another 100 years, he could come and go at any time. Suddenly, a flash of anger flashed across his face. He turned around and walked out the door. Outside the herb garden, Niu Zuihua looked at Huang Yuanqing and Shang Wenli angrily. You two are really shameless. As the presidents of the Azure Dragon and Vermilion Bird Academies, you joined forces to attack a woman. It turned out that after Qin Haodong entered the cabin, Huang Yuanqing and Shang Wenli attacked Niu Zuihua and sealed her acupoints together. Among the people from the Black Tortoise Academy, except for Niu Zuihua, they didn't care about the cultivation of the others. Shang Wenli sneered, the witch of the Ghost King sect, everyone has the right to kill her. So what if I use some tricks? Huang Yuanqing glared at Luo Dongqing and the others. His face was filled with murderous intent. As one of the top 4 academies in the Lingwu continent, your Black Tortoise Academy has colluded with the Ghost King sect. Now obediently stay here for me, or else don't blame this old man for not showing mercy. Luo Dongqing heaved a sigh and stopped Tu Jiaojiao and the others who were ready to fight to the death. He knew very well that with their cultivation, resistance was futile. It would only bring disaster upon themselves. Their only hope now was to wait for Qin Haodong to come out. The other people in the surroundings also noticed the situation here. Although many people were very disdainful of Huang Yuanqing and Shang Wenli's methods, the two of them had high cultivation and were the deans of the Azure Dragon and Vermilion Bird Academies respectively. Naturally, they only dared to think about it in their hearts and didn't dare to say anything. At this moment, the door of the cabin in the herb garden opened again, and Qin Haodong walked out of it. He is out, that young man is finally out. What is that thing in his hand? It looks like a treasure. He is Qin Haodong from the Black Tortoise Academy. Now that the Azure Dragon and Vermilion Bird Academies have captured his people, I wonder what will happen next. Qin Haodong walked out of the herb garden amidst the noisy discussion. He looked at Huang Yuanqing and Shang Wenli coldly and said, "Hurry up and let them go, and I will spare your lives." Qin Haodong, who do you think you are? How dare you speak to us in such a condescending tone? Li Mengyao took 2 steps forward and pointed at Qin Haodong's nose. Do you know who we are? We represent the Azure Dragon Kingdom and the Vermilion Bird Kingdom. Who do you think you are? You should be kneeling down and begging for mercy. As she spoke, her eyes were filled with jealousy and hatred. Before she met Qin Haodong, she had always been the high and mighty second princess. Whether it was her status or cultivation, she was the object of envy and praise. Ever since she met this man, everything changed. She had no dignity, no status, and everything was dim. She was trampled on by others. This was something she could not accept no matter what, and she was always thinking about revenge. Shang Wenli also walked over and sneered at Qin Haodong. Kid, who gave you the courage to talk to us like this? Can't you see that your biggest reliance is already in our hands? Now tell us how you can enter the herb garden, and maybe we can take care of you and your woman. Otherwise, all of you will die. Just as he was speaking proudly, spittle flying everywhere, Qin Haodong suddenly appeared in front of him. He raised his hand and slapped Shang Wenli's face. Pa! A clear sound echoed in the valley. This slap was too heavy. Shang Wenli flew dozens of meters away and hit the restriction of the herb garden with a bang. The surrounding people were shocked. They were shocked that Qin Haodong dared to hit Shang Wenli, and at the same time, they were shocked by his cultivation. Shang Wenli was an expert in the late Deshang stage. He stood at the peak of martial arts in the Lingwu continent. How could he be hit so easily? Huang Yuanqing's expression also became incomparably dignified. Qin Haodong suddenly appeared in front of Shang Wenli, making him unable to see through him at all. What kind of cultivation method was this? Even if it was teleportation, one should be able to feel his energy fluctuations, but there was no sign just now. It was as if he had appeared out of thin air. Shang Wenli got up from the ground. He was about to go crazy with anger. He was the dignified dean of the Vermilion Bird Academy, a master in the late Desheng stage, but he was actually slapped in the face in public. How could he face others in the future? How could he be a dean? In his anger, he no longer cared about his identity and shouted madly to the vice dean Lu Xiaofu, "Kill a hostage for me. Let's see if this kid dares to be arrogant in front of me." Although it was absolutely a big loss of face to use a hostage to threaten others with his identity, he couldn't care less now. He clearly saw Qin Haodong's skills. He was definitely 10 times more powerful than Niu Zuehua. Lu Xiaofu hesitated for a moment, but finally raised the long sword in her hand and slashed at Tu Jiaojiao's neck. Seeing that this woman really wanted to kill a female student of the Black Tortoise Academy, the surrounding people exclaimed, "You're courting death." Qin Haodong's murderous aura broke out in an instant, but Huang Yuanqing and Shang Wenli didn't care much. After all, the hostage was in their hands. There were so many people in the Black Tortoise Academy, and each of them could threaten Qin Haodong. They could absolutely make him not dare to act rashly. Lu Xiaofu also thought so. Anyway, with so many hostages in her hands, it was nothing to kill one to scare the other party. But she suddenly found to her horror that her long sword suddenly stopped in front of Tu Jiaojiao's neck, and could no longer move forward. What's going on? Lu Xiaofu struggled desperately, but she couldn't even move a finger. Her whole person was nailed there like a wax figure. Qin Haodong held the crystal staff in his hand. If it was outside the Medicine King Valley, the hostages in these people's hands could really threaten him, but now he was the god here, the god who controlled the life and death of everyone. "A vicious woman like you deserves to die." After Qin Haodong finished speaking, he raised his hand and Lu Xiaofu's body instantly exploded into a cloud of blood mist. She didn't even have time to scream. This time, everyone was shocked. What was going on? No matter what, Lu Xiaofu was a master at the early stage of the Mahayana realm. How could she be killed with a finger? Oh my god, is this young man a human or a god? What kind of means is this? It's so scary. Qin Haodong's finger showed his power, and the surrounding cultivators all stepped back. After all, most of them had not reached the Mahayana realm yet. Shang Wenli was completely dumbfounded. He didn't understand what was going on. Why did Lu Xiaofu's long sword stop halfway through its slash? There was at least a distance of 20 or 30 meters between the two. How did Qin Haodong kill her? Huang Yuanqing's face was livid. Before this, he thought he could control everything in the Medicine God Valley sect, but now he felt fear, a fear that came from the bottom of his heart. This young man stood in front of him like a god, invincible and invincible. Chapter 10:18. Qin Haodong ignored the stunned crowd and said in a cold voice, "Release them now, or die." Hearing this, the guards of the Azure Dragon Kingdom couldn't help but look at Huang Yuanqing, not knowing whether to release them or not. Huang Yuanqing was also hesitant. He didn't know if Qin Haodong's ability was just a coincidence or if he had really reached such a level. He wanted to think about it, but Qin Haodong didn't have the patience to give him the time. "Then you can go and die." As soon as he finished speaking, a series of explosions rang out. The guards who were guarding the Black Tortoise Academy exploded one by one, turning into clouds of blood mist that dissipated into the air. Niu Zuehua was also a little stunned. Before this, she was the one who understood Qin Haodong's strength the best. Although he had reached the late stage of the Great Vehicle Realm, he was definitely not as terrifying as he was now. Why did he completely change after entering the small wooden hut? And at this moment, her sealed acupoints loosened and the true qi in her body started to circulate again. To be able to unseal her acupoints without any contact, this kind of godlike method made her even more shocked. The people of the Vermilion Bird Kingdom and the Black Tortoise Kingdom were completely dumbfounded. This time, he could kill people without even moving a finger. How could they fight this battle? The most terrible thing was that everyone was locked in the Medicine King Valley. It wasn't the time for the time and space gate to open yet, so they couldn't escape even if they wanted to. Just when everyone was feeling incomparable fear, Li Mengyao jumped out and shouted, "Everyone, don't be afraid, his ability is definitely limited. Only if we join forces, we can definitely kill him. Only by killing him can we survive. As long as we kill him, all the elixirs in the herb garden will be ours." As she spoke, her eyes were dancing with the flames of hatred. What she wanted to see was the man in front of her being trampled under her feet, not being able to control everything here. These words were both threatening and tempting. In an instant, everyone regained their fighting spirit. In order to survive, for the top elixirs in the herb garden, they could only fight to the death. Huang Yuanqing glanced at Shang Wenli, and the two of them communicated with their eyes. At the same time, they waved their hands at the other great elders and rushed towards Qin Haodong together. 2 late stage of the Great Vehicle Realm and 3 early stage of the Great Vehicle Realm. The 5 of them joined forces to attack Qin Haodong. Not daring to hold back, Huang Yuanqing revolved the true qi in his body to the extreme, and pounced forward. However, an unexpected scene happened. Huang Yuanqing had just jumped when he fell to the ground with a plop. The other 4 people behind him also fell to the ground with a plop. When the cultivation base reaches the Desheng stage, one can completely manipulate the heaven and earth essence qi, one can control the qi to fly, and one can transform the qi. However, this was the Medicine God Valley sect, where the essence qi of heaven and earth was under Qin Haodong's control. Therefore, these people did not have any power to use at all. They were no different from ordinary people. This, Li Mengyao was stunned. She couldn't understand why things would turn out like this. Qin Haodong said coldly, "Since you want to die, then you can all die." After he finished speaking, the crystal staff in his hand flashed with light. The people from the Azure Dragon Kingdom and the Vermilion Bird Kingdom, including Li Mengyao, all disappeared into thin air. In the Medicine God Valley sect, he was an invincible god. No one could fight against him. Niuzuehua and the people from the Black Tortoise Academy originally came to fight side by side with him, but they didn't expect this result. Dozens of masters just disappeared into thin air. She stepped forward and pulled Qin Haodong's arm. "Husband, where did you take them?" Qin Haodong said, "They have already reported to the King of Hell." "Husband, you are so awesome." Niuzuehua kissed him hard on the cheek. At this moment, the surrounding cultivators were completely scared out of their wits. Such a powerful existence wasn't something that a human could contend with at all. The worst thing was that many people tried to escape from here. However, they were surprised to find that other than moving their legs, they couldn't control the heaven and earth essence qi at all. Qin Haodong glanced around and said, "Don't be afraid. I have no feud with you, so I won't kill you. Now, I will send you out of the Medicine God Valley. Remember, don't come back here again. The 100-year opening period is cancelled." After he finished speaking, the crystal staff flashed again and these people were all sent out of the Medicine God Valley sect. At the moment, in front of the herb garden, except for the people from the Black Tortoise Academy, there were only 3 men in black standing there. Niuzuehua asked in confusion, "Haodong, what's going on with these 3 people?" "Because they have something I want," he said to the 3 men in black. "Third elder, 4th elder, 7th elder, hand over the black demon bead and I will spare your lives." It turned out that the 3 men were the 3 elders of the Ghost King sect. However, with Chao Yuhuan's 2nd elder as a spy, it was no surprise that they came to the Medicine God Valley sect. The 3 men looked at each other. The means that the young man in front of them had used were too powerful. It was not something that human beings could fight against. However, this black demon bead was something that the Ghost King sect had to get. They had worked hard for the past few days and barely managed to get one. They were not willing to give it away just like that. The third elder gritted his teeth and said, Qin Haodong, don't go too far. If you really annoy the Ghost King's sect, Qin Haodong was too lazy to talk nonsense with this kind of person. He waved the staff in his hand and a black demon bead flew directly into his palm. Then, the 3 men were sent out of the Medicine God Valley sect. For the sake of Nyotsuehua, he did not kill the 3 men in the end. Qin Haodong looked at the black demon bead in his hand. Including the previous 4, he now had a total of 5. With everything settled, Luo Dongqing suppressed her excitement and came over to Qin Haodong and asked, Kid, what the hell is going on? When did you become so powerful? The means that Qin Haodong had just shown were too powerful. Even if he had reached the peak of the Mahayana stage, he would not be able to do this. Qin Haodong told them about the inheritance of the Medicine God Valley sect and finally said, Now the entire Medicine God Valley sect is mine. You can take whatever you want. Then, he waved his hand and the restriction formation above the herb garden disappeared out of thin air. The smell of herbs in the air grew stronger. Oh my God, these treasures are all ours. Nyotsuehua shouted excitedly, We are rich. Husband, are you the master of the Medicine God Valley sect from now on? Then we are all the wives of the Valley Master. Tu Jiaojiao, Murong Jinghong and the other girls were both shy and excited. They were overjoyed to think that they could live with their loved ones in this paradise. Luo Dongqing rushed to the side of the spirit marrow pond and felt the rich spirit qi. She said incredulously, This kind of treasure is also ours? Of course, use it however you like. Qin Haodong took out a pulse revitalizing pill and threw it to the old man. Eat this, you should be able to reach the early stage of the Mahayana stage. Luo Dongqing swallowed the pill excitedly and then sat down next to the spirit stone and began to cultivate. Tu Jiaojiao came up and said, Haodong, are we not going out for a while? Qin Haodong said, The Medicine God Valley sect is different from the 7th stage pagoda. It only has one fixed exit. If I'm not mistaken, the other 3 kingdoms must be guarding the entrance. There will be a big battle when we go out. What we need to do now is to improve our cultivation. We can only go out when we are sure that we can win. Tu Jiaojiao nodded. The other girls also sat down next to the spirit marrow pond and began to cultivate with the help of the rich spirit qi. Qin Haodong sat on the spirit marrow pond with his legs crossed. As the azure wood true qi ran through his body, countless spirit qi flowed into his body. Outside, Li Guangyao did not leave with his men. Instead, he guarded the place with a large number of soldiers. Qin Haodong had entered the Medicine God Valley sect in front of everyone. This was definitely a slap in the face. Therefore, he had been guarding the place with his men, waiting for Qin Haodong to come out and get his revenge. Looking at the empty valley, Li Jin gritted his teeth and said, Damn Qin Haodong, he ruined this once in 100 years opportunity. Li Guangyao sneered and said, Zhen, don't worry. The Medicine God Valley sect belongs to the Azure Dragon Kingdom. Although we didn't go in ourselves, when they come out, all the treasures will be ours. By then, we can take whatever we want. Li Jin said, Father, we can't let Qin Haodong escape this time. We must cut him into pieces to vent our hatred. Qiao Yuhuan said, Don't worry. Now all the masters above the Mahayana stage of the Azure Dragon Kingdom have gathered here. There are more than 20 of them. No matter how high Qin Haodong's cultivation is, he can't escape from our trap. While the 3 of them were talking, a huge light screen suddenly appeared in the valley. Li Zhen said in surprise, What's going on? Isn't this the gate of time and space? According to the usual schedule, it will only open in 1 day. Why is it suddenly ahead of schedule? Li Guangyao said with a serious face, 3 days is just an estimation based on past experience. Who can say for sure when an ancient relic like the Medicine God Valley sect will open? At this time, the gate of time and space flashed and countless cultivators were thrown out of it. Then, it closed again. Those who were thrown out did not have the slightest excitement after getting the treasures. On the contrary, their faces were filled with horror and dullness, as if they had experienced something terrible. Li Guangyao looked at these people and found that none of the core members of the three kingdoms had come out, including the presidents of the three academies. He called over a cultivator of the Azure Dragon Kingdom and asked, "What's going on? How did you get out?" "My lord, something has happened. Something big has happened." Then, he briefly told what had happened in the Medicine God Valley sect. At the end, he said, Qin Haodong became extremely powerful after he came out of the wooden hut. Dean Huang of the Azure Dragon Academy and the president of the Vermilion Bird Academy were all killed by him, including the second princess. Everyone present was shocked and they heard this. After a long silence, Li Guangyao came to his senses. He looked at the cultivator coldly and said, "Are you sure what you said is true?" The cultivator said in a trembling voice, "My lord, how dare I lie to you? There are so many people watching. Even if I lie, it's useless." The other cultivators in the valley followed and said, "Yes, my lord. That Qin Haodong is very powerful." Li Guangyao's face became more and more gloomy. Things seemed to be more complicated than he expected. Chapter 10:19. Li Zhen's eyes and mouth were wide open. At this time, he had no time to feel sorry for the deadly Meng Yao. In addition to shock, he was glad that he did not enter the Medicine God Valley sect. Otherwise, he would not have been able to escape alive. Although Chao Yuhuan was also very shocked, she quickly calmed down. Her eyes darted around, no one knew what she was thinking. The cultivators who escaped quickly escaped from the valley, and the place was quiet again. Chao Yuhuan said, "My king, that Qin guy dared to offend our Azure Dragon royal family. Not only did he kill Director Huang, but he also killed the second princess. We must avenge him." Li Guangyao said gloomily, "Haven't you heard? Qin Haodong killed Director Huang and Shang Wenli without even lifting a finger. With such a level of cultivation, how can we fight against him? Even if we want to take revenge, we don't have the ability." Then he sighed and was about to order the troops to retreat. At this time, Chao Yuhuan said, "My king, if you retreat now, you will fall into that guy's trap. That will be a great loss for our Azure Dragon royal family." "What do you mean?" Li Guangyao said, "The presidents of the Azure Dragon Academy, White Tiger Academy and Vermilion Bird Academy are all experts at the late stage of the Great Vehicle realm. Their cultivation is no less than mine. Now, all three of them have been killed, and not a single person from the three academies has escaped. How could this be fake?" Chao Yuhuan said, "My king, this is all true, but have you ever thought that since Qin Haodong has such a high cultivation, why hasn't he come out of the Medicine God Valley sect to kill us all?" This, Li Guangyao was stunned. He was originally a meticulous person, but he was so shocked that he forgot to think about this question. Now the Azure Dragon royal family and Qin Haodong had entered a situation where they would not rest until one of them died. If Qin Haodong really had such a magical power, he would definitely come out to cause trouble. But until now, there was still no movement from the other party, which was a bit unusual. Hearing Chao Yuhuan's words, Li Zhen also calmed down a lot and asked, "Mother, do you mean that Qin Haodong still doesn't dare to come out and fight us?" Chao Yuhuan revealed a profound smile and said, "If I'm not mistaken, Qin Haodong must have obtained some kind of magical means from the log cabin in the Medicine God Valley sect, which allowed him to control the power of the Medicine God Valley sect. However, this power of his was extremely limited. He could only use it in the Medicine God Valley sect. Once he left the Medicine God Valley sect, he would return to his original form. That was why he had not come out yet." That's right. This king was fooled by him for a moment. Li Guangyao said, "In our Lingwu continent, when one breaks through the peak of the Mahayana realm, he will go through the tribulation and ascend. In this case, Qin Haodong's cultivation can't be so strong. He could kill the late Deshang stage with a flick of his finger, even the peak Deshang stage couldn't do it. My queen is right. He must have borrowed the power of the Medicine God Valley sect. This is not his true power. Li Zhen said, then what should we do? Are you going to continue guarding here and wait for that Qin brat to come out? Of course we have to wait. This is a great opportunity for us. We can't miss it. Qiao Yuhuan said, now we can see that Qin Haodong must be in control of the Medicine God Valley sect. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to open the door of time and space in advance and send those people out. If we can capture him, it means that we have control of the Medicine God Valley sect and the treasures inside. By then, I don't need to tell you. Everyone can imagine the benefits. Hearing what she said, Li Zhen's eyes instantly lit up. If we can control the Medicine God Valley sect, then we won't have to wait for the opening of the Medicine God Valley sect every 100 years. We can enter whenever we want. Our Azure Dragon Kingdom will be powerful. Qiao Yuhuan said to Li Guanyao, my king, you have now reached the late stage of the Mahayana realm. If you can get the treasures in the Medicine God Valley sect, it won't be difficult for you to break through to the tribulation passing stage, let alone the peak of the Mahayana realm. By then, you will be an immortal. Her words were very encouraging. She knew what Li Guanyao was thinking. Sure enough, Li Guanyao's expression changed from shock to excitement. My queen is right. Although we have suffered heavy losses this time, we have also ushered in a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. As long as we capture Qin Haodong, the Azure Dragon Kingdom will be powerful. Qiao Yuhuan said again, my king, for safety's sake, I don't think our current strength is enough. That kid has obtained benefits in the Medicine God Valley sect and his cultivation may be improved. We can't let him escape this time no matter what. We must be fully prepared. Li Guanyao thought for a moment and said, you are right. I will inform the White Tiger Kingdom and the Vermilion Bird Kingdom now and ask them to send all their masters here. When the time comes, Qin Haodong will not be able to escape even if he has 3 heads and 6 arms. He turned to Li Zhen and said, Zhen, I will leave this matter to you. Immediately inform the White Tiger Kingdom and the Vermilion Bird Kingdom as soon as possible. Tell them that if they want to get the treasures in the Medicine God Valley sect, immediately send all their masters here. Yes, father. I will do it right away. Li Zhen said and left the place. He used the unique communication method of the 3 kingdoms to spread the news as fast as possible. Qiao Yuhuan said again, my king, I don't think this is enough. Li Guanyao was stunned and said, not enough? I have already used the strongest forces of the 3 kingdoms. What else can I do? Qiao Yuhuan whispered a few words in his ear and then said, this is the only way to ensure that nothing goes wrong. If we succeed, we can also intimidate the Vermilion Bird Kingdom and the White Tiger Kingdom and ensure that the Azure Dragon Kingdom gets the most benefits. Li Guanyao hesitated and said, I will try, but I don't know if I can succeed. Inside the Medicine God Valley sect. When Qin Haodong opened his eyes again, his body was surging with an extremely powerful aura. He was at the peak of the Mahayana stage. At this moment, he had reached the peak of the Tribulation Transcendence stage. He looked down and found that 1/3 of the spirit marrow pond under him had been consumed. This was indeed a good thing. Even with a large amount of spirit chi, he had only used less than half of it. If he absorbed all the remaining spirit marrow pond, he might be able to transcend the tribulation and become an immortal. However, this was not his goal yet. He looked around and found that the others had also finished their cultivation. At this moment, Luo Dongqing had entered the middle stage of the Mahayana stage. However, Niu Zuehua and the others did not make much progress. After all, these girls had improved too fast recently. Seeing that he had finished his cultivation, Niu Zuehua ran over and pulled his arm. Husband, have you reached the peak of the Mahayana stage? Qin Haodong nodded. Niu Zuehua said nervously, then you are not allowed to cultivate in the future. You must wait for me to ascend. Otherwise, what will we do when you leave? Although Tu Jiaojiao and the others did not speak, they all looked nervous. Apparently, they had the same thought as Niu Zuehua. They had finally found their Mr. Right. If they ascended to the immortal world, it would be terrible. Don't worry. The reason why I am in such a hurry to reach this level is to do one thing. I will never cultivate again. Qin Haodong still had a lot of things to do in the mortal world. He had to return to Earth. In the future, what he needed to do was not to improve his cultivation, but to suppress the process of ascension. After saying that, he moved his mind and the figure of the little demon girl appeared in front of everyone. Little brother, why did you let me out so late? I almost died of suffocation. The little demon girl said excitedly, now that I have completed the third awakening, I am finally a reliable summoner. In the future, I can summon whatever I want. Qin Haodong glanced at her and nodded with satisfaction. After the third awakening, not only did the girl's summoning skills become more reliable, but her cultivation had also increased to the Mahayana stage. It seemed that the 5 earth vein spirit fruits were not eaten for nothing. He asked Nyotsuehua, how long have I been cultivating? It has been a full 3 days. Nyotsuehua said eagerly, let's go out quickly. Otherwise, what will we do if those people from the Azure Dragon Kingdom run away? Who are we going to teach a lesson to? The little demon girl shouted excitedly, yes, we must teach the 3 kingdoms a lesson this time. How dare they unite to destroy our Black Tortoise Kingdom? We must teach them a lesson. Luo Dongqing also said, our Black Tortoise Academy has been silent for so many years. Now that we have Haodong, an expert at the peak of the Mahayana stage, it is time for us to awaken. Then let's go out now. Qin Haodong was also very anxious. Once he was done with the Azure Dragon Kingdom, he would have to return to the Black Tortoise Kingdom. He waved the crystal staff in his hand and the group instantly left the Medicine God Valley sect and reappeared in the valley at the foot of Qingling Mountain. When they walked out of the time and space gate, they saw a dark mass of people. The Azure Dragon Kingdom, the Vermilion Bird Kingdom and the White Tiger Kingdom had gathered at the foot of the Qingling Mountain. In front of them were the kings of the 3 kingdoms, Li Guangyao of the Azure Dragon Kingdom, Lei Patian of the White Tiger Kingdom and Lu Zhaoji of the Vermilion Bird Kingdom. Behind each of the 3 kings were dozens of Mahayana stage cultivators. In total, there were more than 50 people. Li Jin shouted, Qin Haodong, how dare you come out? Qin Haodong cracked a smile. You have made such a big scene to welcome me. If I don't come out, won't you be disappointed? Li Guangyao shouted, Qin Haodong, you colluded with the demons of the Ghost King sect and killed countless elites of the 3 kingdoms. Today, we must kill you and make you pay with your blood. Of course, if you can hand over the treasures in the Medicine God Valley sect and beg for mercy, we can consider sparing your life. Qin Haodong sneered. You think too much. I haven't thought about letting you go yet. Lei Patian shouted, what an arrogant kid. Today, we will show you the power of the 3 kingdoms. Li Guangyao shouted, we don't need to talk about rules with these evil people. Let's do it together. After he said that, the people who were already ready surrounded Qin Haodong and the others in the center. The ones at the front were all Mahayana stage cultivators. When these people joined forces, their aura was earth-shattering. Chapter 1020. On the Black Tortoise Institute side, although everyone's cultivation had improved rapidly recently, Tu Jiaojiao, Murong Jinghong, and Yun Xianshan were still at the form synthesis stage. Surrounded by so many masters at the Great Vehicle stage, Qin Haodong was worried that something might go wrong if he couldn't take care of them. He immediately released the Earth Bear and the 2 flame golden-eyed beasts. Howl! Howl! The Earth Bear was extremely excited after it came out. It howled to the sky, raised its huge front paws, and slapped the 2 masters at the early stage of the Great Vehicle stage into meat paste. The 2 flame golden-eyed beasts were not to be outdone. They opened their big mouths and shot 2 columns of fire at the people in front of them. Everyone dodged, but 2 of them were too slow and were instantly turned into ashes. The masters from the 3 kingdoms were shocked. They didn't expect that the other side could summon such powerful magical beasts, and 3 of them at once. However, they had many capable people on their side, and several cultivators at the great vehicle stage also summoned 8th rank spirit beasts to fight back against the 3 big guys in front of them. Just then, Qin Haodong felt that the 3-legged golden toad in the spirit beast bag had woken up. It had slept for so long, and it should come out to exercise. He just didn't know to what extent its cultivation had improved. So, he released the 3-legged golden toad again. Coo! After the 3-legged golden toad came out, it roared to the sky. It originally had the Taotai bloodline, and this time it was stimulated by the earth vein spirit fruit, so its dragon bloodline was vividly displayed. The magical beasts on the opposite side had been evenly matched with the earth bear and the flame golden-eyed beasts, and a 3-eyed golden hawk looked extremely fierce. But after hearing the roar, it suddenly trembled with fear, and even lost the courage to resist. It was slapped into a specimen by the earth bear, and the other magical beasts were also burned to ashes by the flame golden-eyed beast's fire. This time, the masters from the 3 kingdoms were shocked. These magical beasts were really too strong. Seeing this scene, Li Guangyao was happy. Since Qin Haodong needed the help of magical beasts, it proved that Qiao Yuhuan's speculation was right. Qin Haodong's special ability was not useful outside. Don't be afraid, we have so many people on our side. We don't need to worry about these beasts. After that, he drew out a huge long blade and took the lead to rush towards the earth bear. Lei Patian and Lu Zhaoji also attacked with him. The cultivation of these 2 people was not weak at all. They were also masters in the late Desheng stage. Seeing the 3 kings rushing to the front, the others no longer hesitated. Dozens of masters attacked Qin Haodong together. The little she-devil shouted excitedly, "It's my turn to make a move. I'll show you how powerful I am." With a thought, he opened the life gate. After completing the 3rd awakening, his summoning speed was much faster than before. After the 2 simple and unadorned doors opened, 3 huge pythons rushed out one after another. The 3 pythons were as large as dragons, several dozen meters long. Their bodies were covered in 7-colored patterns. They were Class 8 7-colored heaven-devouring pythons. Although the 7-color heaven-swallowing python was not comparable to a real dragon, it was also extremely powerful, enough to rival the powerhouse in the late Desheng stage. The 3-legged golden toad, the earth bear, and these 3 7-colored heaven-swallowing pythons were equivalent to 5 masters in the late Desheng stage. The situation was suddenly reversed. Li Zhaoji faced the 3-legged golden toad. As soon as he raised the long blade in his hand, the 3-legged golden toad's huge tongue rolled over. He raised the long blade and slashed out fiercely. However, the 3-legged golden toad's tongue looked extremely soft, but it was actually harder than steel. Its defensive power was beyond imagination. Although the long blade in his hand was also an extremely rare treasure blade, it could not be shaken at all. Not only that, the 3-legged golden toad's big tongue directly rolled up the long blade and grabbed it at once. Then its huge hoof claw slammed down on his head. Li Zhaoji was slightly shocked. He raised his hand and used the Azure Dragon royal family's secret shocking heaven palm. The power of the shocking heaven palm was amazing. It was said that it could split mountains and rivers. However, he was facing the 3-legged golden toad with dragon blood. A man and a beast, a palm and a claw, made a deafening noise when they collided. The 3-legged golden toad's huge body did not move at all, but Li Guangyao shot out like a bullet. Fortunately, he had a deep foundation. This time, he did not suffer 2 serious injuries. However, this was enough to shock him. He really did not know where Qin Haodong found such an abnormal magical beast. At the same time, Lu Zhaoji was slapped by the earth bear and Lei Patian was swept hundreds of meters away by the 7-colored sky-swallowing python's tail. In the battle of the same rank, magical beasts still had an absolute advantage by relying on their strong body and innate strength. Even the 3 powerhouses in the late Desheng stage were beaten without the power to fight back, not to mention the other early and middle Desheng stage powerhouses. Before Nyotsuehua could make a move, the surrounding people of the three kingdoms were defeated and embarrassed. In less than 2 minutes, more than half of them were lost. Li Zhen and Chao Yuhuan had been watching the battle. In his view, the three kingdoms joined forces. With such strength, even if Qin Haodong reached the peak of the Desheng stage, he would not be able to resist. He did not expect that it would be his side that was defeated. Qin Haodong's side had not made a move yet, only some magical beasts. Masters in the Desheng stage were extremely rare treasures for every kingdom. It took decades to cultivate one. Every death was a huge loss. Chao Yuhuan glanced at him and said with a smile, "Don't worry, this time I asked your father to leave a backup plan. I did not expect this kid to be so strong. Fortunately, we are well prepared, otherwise, he would have really escaped." Li Zhen asked in surprise, "Now that the three kingdoms have taken out all their strength, what backup plan do they have?" Chao Yuhuan smiled mysteriously, "Don't worry, you will see later." Li Guangyao fought with the three-legged golden toad for a few rounds. Not only was his side in danger, but his men were also dying. In the blink of an eye, there were only a dozen people left from the three kingdoms. Seeing the death or injury of the great vehicle stage experts he had carefully cultivated, he was so angry that his eyes were about to split open. He ordered his subordinates to retreat, then pointed at Qin Haodong and shouted, "Boy, how dare you kill so many experts of my Azure Dragon Kingdom? Today, I will kill you and the people from Black Tortoise Institute first. After that, we will trample Black Tortoise Kingdom and make you pay." The little demonist said with a smile, "Old thing, you can't even beat our magical beasts. What qualifications do you have to be so arrogant?" Li Guangyao gritted his teeth and said, "Our Azure Dragon Kingdom is Lingwu Continent's #1 kingdom. Do you think that is all we have?" The little demonist smiled and said, "If you have any skills, then bring them out. I will accept them all. All of you, just you wait." Li Guangyao turned around and shouted towards the top of Green Spirit Mountain, "Old ancestor, please come." His shout was filled with energy, and his voice resounded throughout the entire valley. Qin Haodong did not think much of it, but Luo Dongqing and the people from the other two kingdoms were shocked. There was only one person who deserved the title of Old Ancestor of the Azure Dragon Kingdom, and that was Li Guanyao's father, the martial arts genius who once dominated the Lingwu continent, Li Shizuan. After passing the throne to Li Guangyao, there was no more news about the old man. Everyone thought that he had ascended or left this world. Who would have thought that after so many years, the Azure Dragon Kingdom's old ancestor was still alive? When Li Shizuan gave up the throne, the old ancestor was already at the late stage of the Great Vehicle Realm. After so many years, he should at least have reached the peak of the Great Vehicle Realm. Thinking of this, the people of the Azure Dragon Kingdom, the Vermilion Bird Kingdom, and the White Tiger Kingdom cheered. If the old ancestor was still alive, he would definitely be the #1 martial artist in the Lingwu continent. This young man in front of them would definitely not be a match for him. In the Azure Dragon Kingdom, there were only two people who knew about the old ancestor. One was Li Guangyao, and the other was Chao Yuhuan. Originally, Chao Yuhuan asked Li Guangyao to invite the old ancestor of the Azure Dragon Kingdom. Her purpose was to suppress the White Tiger Kingdom and Vermilion Bird Kingdom after getting the resources from the Medicine God Valley sect, so that she could get the most benefits. However, under the current situation, if the old ancestor of the Azure Dragon Kingdom did not show up, they would not even be able to keep their lives, let alone get the resources from the Medicine God Valley sect. In desperation, Li Guangyao invited the old ancestor of the Azure Dragon Kingdom in advance. Under everyone's gaze, a figure dashed down from the top of the Green Dragon Mountain and appeared in front of everyone in an instant. It was the old ancestor of the Azure Dragon Kingdom, Li Shizuan. His hair and beard were all white, but he looked hale and hearty, like an immortal. After glancing around, Li Shizuan snorted. "You guys are really something. The kings of the three kingdoms can't even handle a kid." Li Guangyao looked embarrassed. He lowered his head and said, "Father, this kid's magical beasts are too powerful. They are just a few beasts. What's the big deal?" A hint of arrogance flashed across Li Shizuan's face. In his opinion, he was already the most powerful being on this continent. Except for cultivators at the tribulation passing stage, no one could be his match. He looked at Qin Haodong coldly. "Kid, kneel down and apologize now. Hand over the Medicine God Valley sect and I will let you live." Luo Dongqing moved closer to Qin Haodong's ear and whispered, "This old man is a monster who has lived for hundreds of years. He is very difficult to deal with. Why don't we hide in the 7th pagoda first and come out later?" Although he knew that Qin Haodong had reached the peak of the Mahayana stage, there was still a difference in strength between them. Luo Dongqing thought that Qin Haodong would not be a match for Li Shizuan. After all, Li Shizuan was once the overlord of the Lingwu continent, an old monster who had lived for hundreds of years. "Don't worry. He is just a dying old man. There is nothing to be afraid of." Qin Haodong comforted Luo Dongqing and looked up at Li Shizuan. "I can officially inform the 3 kingdoms that you either surrender or be destroyed." His words were domineering, but to the people of the 3 kingdoms, it was just a joke. If not for the old ancestor of the Azure Dragon, they might have been a little afraid. But now that the old ancestor had come out, they instantly regained their confidence. "This kid is too arrogant. How dare he speak like this in front of the old ancestor? This kid is finished. How dare he anger the old ancestor? He will die for sure." Li Shizuan's face darkened. No one had dared to speak to him like this for so many years. In an instant, a fierce murderous intent enveloped the entire valley. He said coldly, "Kid, do you know who you are talking to?" Qin Haodong smiled disdainfully. "What do I not know? Isn't he just a piece of trash who has cultivated for hundreds of years but still can't pass the tribulation? Kid, you are courting death." The old ancestor of the Azure Dragon was completely infuriated. After living for so many years, no one had ever dared to call him a piece of trash. The powerful True Qi instantly turned into a giant hand of true essence and grabbed at Qin Haodong. Chapter 1021. Unlike other cultivators in the Mahayana stage, Ancestor Green Dragon's true essence giant hand was not only many times larger in size, but it also looked extremely solid, like the giant hand of a real person. The giant hand descended from the sky with the momentum of the Buddha's palm, making it extremely difficult for the surrounding people to breathe. My God, is this the strength of the peak of the Mahayana stage? It's so terrifying. Ancestor Green Dragon is so powerful. I'm afraid he's going to ascend soon. This guy is so unlucky to bump into him at this time. The peak of the Mahayana stage is so terrifying. When can I have such strength? Seeing that Ancestor Green Dragon was going to attack Qin Haodong, little she-devil had an idea. 3 giant 7-colored sky-devouring pythons rushed toward the giant hand. Unfortunately, the powerful 7-colored sky-devouring pythons couldn't even block Ancestor Green Dragon's giant hand at all. They were instantly smashed into a cloud of blood mist. Little she-devil's expression changed greatly. This old man was too powerful. The people of the Azure Dragon Kingdom, the Vermilion Bird Kingdom, and the White Tiger Kingdom began to cheer. In their eyes, Qin Haodong was already a dead man. However, at this moment, Qin Haodong's mouth curled up in disdain. He raised his right hand and slapped out. His slap looked ordinary, without any momentum of the true essence giant hand. However, such a slap instantly shattered the true essence giant hand, and it didn't seem to stop at all. It slapped Ancestor Green Dragon's face again. This slap was so loud and heavy that it sent Ancestor Green Dragon flying hundreds of meters away and directly embedded into a mountain nearby. At this moment, the surrounding people's eyeballs fell to the ground. No one had expected this result. How could the mighty Azure Dragon ancestor, who was once invincible in the entire Lingwu continent, who stood above the entire Azure Dragon Kingdom, lose? Moreover, he was so badly defeated that he was slapped away by Qin Haodong. Especially Ancestor Green Dragon, he didn't even bother to look at Qin Haodong after that slap, thinking that the young man in front of him would definitely die. However, he didn't expect that Qin Haodong not only didn't suffer any injuries, but also slapped his face in public. "Brat, you're courting death." Patriarch Green Dragon was completely enraged. He had lived for hundreds of years, and no one had ever dared to slap his face in public. The strength of his whole body burst out, and a mountain peak exploded into powder. Then, he rushed toward Qin Haodong with a whistling sound. "I already told you that you're trash, but you still don't believe me." Qin Haodong kicked out, which looked like a kick in the groin commonly used by gangsters in street fights, without any technical content. Unfortunately, Patriarch Azure Dragon had nowhere to evade, and he was kicked in the lower abdomen, sending him flying like a cannonball. This time, Qin Haodong did not stop at all. He caught up with him like a shadow, grabbed his ankle, lifted him up, and slammed him to the ground. His movements were like throwing sandbags, left and right. It was not satisfying at all. Ancestor Green Dragon was the most depressed one. At the moment when Qin Haodong grabbed his ankle, the powerful genuine qi in his body, which was like a tsunami, instantly stopped running. Without the genuine qi to protect his body, he was bruised and bruised in the blink of an eye. He looked extremely miserable and had long lost his sage-like appearance. This time, Li Guangyao and Lu Zhaoji were dumbfounded. Qiao Yuhuan and Li Zhen, who were watching from the side, were also dumbfounded. They never dreamed that the enemy they provoked would be so powerful that even Patriarch Green Dragon could not withstand a single blow. Originally, Patriarch Green Dragon had been cultivating in seclusion, longing for the day when he could transcend the tribulation and ascend. This time, it took Li Guangyao a lot of effort to invite him. He thought that once the Patriarch came out, he could calm the world, but he was beaten like a dog. Qin Haodong seemed to have had enough. He lifted Patriarch Green Dragon in his hand and slammed him into the ground like a nail, leaving only his head outside. "Stay here. If you dare to move, I'll kill you directly." After saying that, Qin Haodong turned his head to look at the people around him. Patriarch Green Dragon finally felt the horror of the young man in front of him. Even though he was at the peak of the Mahayana realm, he was still no match for Qin Haodong. He even suspected that Qin Haodong was an immortal from above. "Run!" The surrounding cultivators were terrified. No one knew who shouted first, but they turned around and fled outside. But just after running a few steps, their bodies suddenly exploded and turned into a cloud of blood mist. This scared everyone present. Suddenly, those who had this idea stopped and looked at the young man in front of them in fear, for fear that he would kill them in anger. Even the 100,000 soldiers around him did not dare to move. They were just ordinary soldiers. Even a master in the Mahayana realm had died so miserably. What could they do? Qin Haodong glanced at Li Guangyao, Lu Zhaoji and Lei Patian and said lightly, "I'm in a good mood today. I'll give you another chance. Surrender or die." When he said those words just now, many people thought it was a joke. But now, no one thought so. Li Guangyao and the others were completely dumbfounded. They were all high and mighty monarchs of a country. Asking them to submit to a young man was unacceptable, be it in terms of face or heart. But Qin Haodong was so cruel that if they did not surrender, he would definitely kill them and even destroy their kingdoms. Qin Haodong said, "I don't have time to waste with you. I'll count to 3. If you don't make a choice, all of you will die. 3, 2, 1. I'm willing to surrender." At the last moment, the 3 kings chose to surrender in unison. They had no choice. Qin Haodong was too powerful. If they fought hard, they would not only lose their lives, but also their kingdoms. Qin Haodong smiled coldly. He raised his hand and drew 3 blood-red talismans in the air. Then he said, "This is my original bloodline contract. After signing it, the whole family with your bloodline will surrender to me and become my servants. Now drip a drop of blood to complete the contract." The 3 kings were a little hesitant. If they really signed this contract, their whole families would never be able to rise again. That was to say, the fate of the whole kingdom would be handed over to Qin Haodong. However, they could not bear the consequences if they did not complete the contract. Li Guangyao looked at the azure dragon ancestor who was nailed to the ground and completely gave up his last hope. So what if he could advance to the peak of the Mahayana realm? At least he would not be a match for him before he ascended. With this kind of strength, it was enough to crush the whole Lingwu continent. Since he did not want to lead the azure dragon royal family to destruction, he could only surrender. Finally, he sighed and shot a drop of blood at the red talisman. In an instant, the red talisman shone brightly and disappeared in the air. From this moment on, the fate of the whole azure dragon royal family was in Qin Haodong's hands. He could destroy the Holy Family with a lift of his finger. Seeing that the most powerful azure dragon royal family had surrendered, Lei Patian and Lu Zhaoji did not dare to hesitate anymore. They offered their blood and completed the family-style master-servant contract. At the foot of Mount Qingling, everyone fell into silence. They knew very well what this meant. Since the young man in front of them had already controlled the three kingdoms, he was the master of the whole Lingwu continent. He stood at the peak of power. From now on, no one would dare to go against him. The Azure Dragon Kingdom's Li family pays respect to the master, the White Tiger Kingdom's Lei family pays respect to the master, the Vermilion Bird Kingdom's Lu family pays respect to the master. After the contract was completed, the three royal families only had respect and obedience for Qin Haodong. There was no longer any resistance or grievance. In an instant, all the blood-related members of the three families at the foot of Mount Qingling knelt in front of Qin Haodong. Even the Azure Dragon ancestor crawled out and prostrated on the ground. Get up. From now on, go back to your original positions and take care of the affairs of your kingdoms. Qin Haodong was very satisfied with this result. This was a once-and-for-all method. With complete control of the three royal families, there would be no more trouble in the Lingwu continent. The people of the three royal families got up from the ground. The White Tiger Kingdom and the Vermilion Bird Kingdom quickly left with their own people. Li Guangyao was also preparing to leave with the members of the Li family, but he heard Qin Haodong say, "Wait a moment. Master, do you have any other orders?" Li Guangyao said respectfully. Qin Haodong looked at Qiao Yuhuan and stretched out his right hand. Hand over the black demon pearl. Li Guangyao turned back and said, "Did you hear that? Give it to master." Qiao Yuhuan sighed inwardly. She had always prided herself on being resourceful, but she was useless in front of this young man. She had plotted against him several times, but not only did she not hurt him, she even made him the lord of the continent. This kind of person was not someone she could fight against. Maybe only the Ghost King sect master could fight against him. With this thought in mind, she took out a black demon pearl and put it into Qin Haodong's hand. Qin Haodong smiled coldly. Even now, this woman had not completely given up. There's one more. This, Qiao Yuhuan had no choice but to take out the other black demon bead that she had secretly hidden and give it to Qin Haodong. Alright, you can go now. Qin Haodong ordered the people of the Azure Dragon Kingdom to leave. As the three kingdoms left, only the people of the Black Tortoise Institute were left. Niu Zuhua came over and said excitedly, "Husband, you are so awesome. The entire Lingwu continent respects you now." The little demon girl added, "Yes, little brother, now that you are the lord of the three kingdoms, who would dare to bully me and the Black Tortoise Kingdom?" Zhao Xingyue looked at the man in front of her with a complicated expression. Fortunately, she had made the right choice and treated him as her son-in-law. With such a powerful backer, it would be hard for the Black Tortoise Kingdom not to become powerful. Luo Dongqing came over and said, "Kid, I didn't expect you to be so successful today. I have one more thing to ask of you, you must agree to it no matter what." Qin Haodong glanced at the old man and said cautiously, "What is it? Tell me." The old dean of the Black Tortoise Institute has been missing for many years, and now there is no dean. I think you are the right person to be the dean. While Luo Dongqing was talking, Qin Haodong waved his hand and said, "Absolutely not. I don't have time to be a dean. You can be the dean." The most urgent thing for him now was to open the spatial tunnel and return to Earth as soon as possible. He had no time to be a dean. This. Luo Dongqing said reluctantly, but I am old and my cultivation is not that high. You are the most suitable person to be the dean, Qin Haodong said. If you don't want to be the dean, then let Hongying do it. Anyway, her cultivation has reached the mid-stage of the Mahayana realm and her strength is comparable to the peak of the Mahayana realm. Chapter 1022. Luo Dongqing sighed. Since she couldn't invite Qin Haodong, it was not a bad idea to let her granddaughter be the dean. However, he didn't expect that as soon as he turned his head, the little she-devil immediately shouted, "Old man, you should give up on this idea. I will never follow you to be some dean. I want to follow little big brother. I will follow him wherever he goes." Luo Dongqing was so depressed that he almost vomited blood. Black Tortoise Academy was one of the 4 major academies in the Lingwu continent, and the position of dean was a throne coveted by countless people. How could he not do it now? Qin Haodong smiled, patted him on the shoulder and said, "Forget it, old man. You should be the dean. I'll help you improve your cultivation after a while. I promise you'll reach the late stage of the Desheng realm and you'll be no worse than those old guys in other academies." Well, that's all I can do for the time being. Luo Dongqing originally wanted Qin Haodong to be the dean and make Black Tortoise Academy the top academy in the Lingwu continent, but now it seemed that she could only rely on herself. As soon as the matter was settled, everyone sat on the 3-legged golden toad and rushed to Black Tortoise Academy. Niu Zuhua came to Qin Haodong and said, "Husband, you've collected 7 black demon beads now. Take them out and see what they do. They can make the people of the Ghost King sect scramble for them." Qin Haodong was also very curious about the black demon beads. He took out 7 black demon beads and held them in his palm. The other girls also gathered around and looked at the 7 black beads curiously. But no one could see any clues after looking at them for a long time. The little witch picked up one and said, "Is this something to eat? Can it bring great benefits to people after eating it?" Qin Haodong rubbed her head and said, "What's in your head? Is there anything else besides eating?" The little witch curled her lips and threw the black demon bead back. "What's the point of not being able to eat it?" He Ziwei said, "It's said that if we collect 7 black demon beads, the demon king will be resurrected and the alien demons will be reborn. It seems that it's just a rumor. Now we have 7 beads, but it's useless." Tu Jiaojiao said, "Maybe we haven't found the right way?" Everyone discussed for a long time. Qin Haodong looked left and right but still could not figure out how to use the 7 black demon pearls. In the end, he felt that it was pointless and kept the black demon bead in the 7th tier pagoda. Regardless of whether the rumors were true or not, it was fine as long as no one could obtain it. After the 3-legged golden toad advanced to a Class 8 magical beast, its flying speed was extremely fast. In just half a day's time, they arrived at Black Tortoise Kingdom. Although he was in a hurry to return to Earth, there were still many things that needed to be solved before that, so Qin Haodong followed everyone to Black Tortoise Royal City. As the leader of the expedition, Luo Dongqing rushed to the palace to report to Zhao Xianlong. Qin Haodong gathered the girls in a room. Maybe he was going to leave soon. He didn't want to hide it anymore, so he was ready to tell everyone about his situation. These were all people who treated him sincerely, so he had to give them an explanation before he left. He said to everyone, "Since everyone is here today, I have something to tell you." Niu Zuhua said with a smile, "Husband, you're not going to propose to us, are you?" The little demon girl also smiled and said, "It's okay, don't be nervous. Just say it, we sisters will agree. Besides, we are all good sisters, so there's no need to distinguish between us." The other girls were relatively shy. Although they did not speak, their cheeks were also red and they looked at him with burning eyes. Qin Haodong was speechless. He coughed and said, "Okay, stop fooling around. I have something serious to tell you. Seeing his serious expression, the other girls realized that something was wrong and stopped fooling around. He hesitated for a moment and said, I'm leaving. Zhao Xingyue asked, you just came back and you're leaving. Where are you going this time? As the princess of Black Tortoise Kingdom and the future heir to the throne, it was generally difficult for her to leave Black Tortoise Royal City. Therefore, she was the one who wanted Qin Haodong to leave the most. I want to go back to where I came from. That is my hometown. Qin Haodong said, in fact, I have been hiding it from you. I am not from this world. Niu Zuhua said, husband, you are joking with us, aren't you? You are exactly the same as us. How can you not be from this world? I really don't belong to the Lingwu continent. Qin Haodong told them about how he came here through the space hole and then said, I come from a place called Earth. That is my home. I have been working hard to improve my cultivation. My goal is to get through the space hole as soon as possible and return to my hometown as soon as possible. Seeing that he was serious, the girls opened their mouths in surprise. They could not believe it was true. After a long silence, Tu Jiaojiao said, you are not lying to us, are you? Qin Haodong said, I am telling the truth. Don't you find that I am different? Including the delicious food I brought here. There is no such food in the Lingwu continent. It is the food of my hometown. Really? There are so many delicious food in your home. I want to go with you. The little demon girl's eyes lit up and she grabbed Qin Haodong's arm as if she was afraid that he would run away. He Ziwei said, I don't care where you are from. I only know that you are my husband. I will go wherever you go. Niu Zuhua also said, and me. I will not be separated from you no matter what. I want to go with you too. I will go wherever you go. Don't try to get rid of me. For a moment, the girls expressed their opinions one after another. They even went forward to pull Qin Haodong and wanted to go back to Earth with him. Let go of me first. I won't run away, or I wouldn't have told you. Qin Haodong finally got the girls to let go. Then he said to Zhao Xingyue, you are the heir of the Black Tortoise Kingdom. It is not good for you to leave here with me. Zhao Xingyue said persistently, I don't care. If I can't be with you, I will not be the heir. Besides, since we can get through the space hole, we can come back. You can come back with me when the time comes. Qin Haodong thought for a moment and said, well, since you are willing, let's go now. According to his plan, after going back, he would bring all his family here and settle down in the Medicine God Valley together. Therefore, they did not say goodbye to Zhao Xianlong, the king of Black Tortoise. They just left a note in the room, then left the Black Tortoise Royal City and flew in the direction of the space hole. Qin Haodong had made a mark here, so they soon found the location of the space hole. He observed for a while and found that the concealment formation he had set here was intact, which meant that it had not been discovered by others. Niu Zuhua asked, husband, how can we open this hole? Qin Haodong said, this space hole was forcibly sealed by the ancient powerful figures on our side with their cultivation. There is no other way, we can only break it by force. Niu Zuhua said, then let me try. After that, the others stepped aside. Niu Zuhua punched the space hole and her cultivation of the late stage of the Mahayana realm suddenly broke out. But then they found that the space hole had no effect except for a slight energy fluctuation. Qin Haodong's face darkened. He had thought that it would be enough to break the seal here when he reached the Mahayana realm. Now it seemed that it was much more difficult than he had imagined. Let me do it. He asked Niu Zuhua to step aside and directly used his cultivation at the peak of the Mahayana realm. After a few punches, the surrounding air made earth-shattering fluctuations, but the space hole was still not broken. Qin Haodong's heart suddenly sank. He had worked hard for so long just to return to Earth, but now he could not break the seal. Could it be that he would never be able to go back? Thinking of this, an uncontrollable anger rose in his heart. He called out the Xian Yuan sword and slashed at the space hole again and again. Rumble, 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 a series of loud noises rang through the air. The space hole seemed to be trembling, but the seal was still very strong and there was no sign of it being opened. Qin Haodong's eyes were blood red, and his heart was filled with boundless anger. Could it be that he could never set foot on Earth again and see his family again? Niu Zuihua hurriedly stepped forward and pulled him back. Husband, calm down. If you continue to slash, the whole hole will collapse and you will never be able to go back. Her words were like a basin of cold water, making Qin Haodong completely calm down. In any case, this was the space passage to Earth. As long as it was still there, there was hope for him to go back. He sat cross-legged in front of the space hole and seriously thought about it. Logically speaking, the strength of his attack just now was far stronger than the phantom spear used by the Yimo Emperor on Earth. How could it not break the seal? Suddenly, his heart moved and he understood something. This seal was originally set up by the Yellow Emperor and the others to prevent people from the Yimo realm from entering again. The strength of the defense must be here. The Earth was on the other side, so its defense was naturally much weaker. That was why the phantom spear could easily break it. He understood the reason, but things were now in a dilemma. What should he do? Even the cultivation of the Mahayana realm could not break the seal. How could he go back? Was he going to be trapped in the Lingwu continent forever? At this time, the little witch came over and pulled his arm. Little brother, don't be too sad. If you can't go back, then you can't go back. Anyway, you still have us to accompany you. Niu Zuihua, Tu Jiaojiao, Zhao Xingyue, and the others also came over. Yes, at least you have us to accompany you. Qin Haodong sighed. But that is my home. I still have many relatives there. At this time, a cold voice sounded beside him. I thought you stole the black demon bead because you knew how to use it. It turns out that you are a piece of trash who knows nothing. Qin Haodong was slightly shocked. He had lost his composure and did not know that someone had approached him. He turned his head and saw a middle-aged man in white standing behind him. Beside him were the second elder, third elder, fourth elder and seventh elder of the Ghost King sect. Seeing this, he immediately understood that this middle-aged man was the sect leader of the Ghost King sect, Li Tianxing. Chapter 1023. Big brother, why are you here? After seeing Li Tianxing, Niu Zuihua immediately greeted him. Traitorous thing, I'll settle the score with you later. Li Tianxing glared at Niu Zuihua and then walked towards Qin Haodong. Big brother, what's the matter? Tell me, Niu Zuihua was about to stop him, but Li Tianxing waved his sleeves and sent her flying. Although she had reached the late Deshang stage, she was still a level lower than the Ghost King sect master. Li Tianxing stepped in front of Qin Haodong. Boy, how dare you be the enemy of the Ghost King sect? For the sake of my sister, if you kneel down and become my ghost slave now, I can spare your life. Qin Haodong was extremely annoyed. He looked at Li Tianxing coldly and said, for the sake of Zuihua, if you leave now, I can spare your life. Boy, do you really think you're invincible in the world? Now I'll show you the strength of the Ghost King sect. Li Tianxing raised his hand and made a hand seal. The surrounding space instantly changed. The originally clear sky and blue sun became eerie in the blink of an eye. Ferocious ghosts danced around them. It looked like they had fallen into the 9 serenities of hell. 9 serenities array. Niu Zuihua recognized this array. It was the treasure of the Ghost King sect. It was extremely powerful, but it was extremely troublesome to set it up. Li Tianxing used the 9 nether 10,000 ghosts array, which made her panic. On one side was the man she loved the most, and on the other side was her brother. She didn't want to be hurt. She shouted to the little witch and the others, this array is very powerful, don't move. Then she shouted to Li Tianxing, big brother, what are you doing? Hurry up and remove the formation. I'm already his. Women shouldn't interrupt men's business. Li Tianqing looked at Qin Haodong proudly and said, I'll give you another chance. It's not too late to surrender now. Qin Haodong didn't panic at all. Instead, he looked at Li Tianqing coldly and said, How did you know I would come here? You robbed 7 black demon beads of the Ghost King sect. I thought you knew the secret of the black demon bead, so I came here early to wait for you. I didn't expect you to be an ignorant brat who just stumbled into this place. Li Tianqing said, But that's good too. You've already helped me conquer the 3 great kingdoms of the Lingwu continent. As long as I conquer you, I'll be the ruler of this continent in the future. Qin Haodong said coldly, You think too much. You had a chance to escape, but now it's gone. Kid, I know you have some ability. Even Patriarch Azure Dragon lost to you. But this time is different. This is the Ghost King sect's treasure, the 9 Nether Thousand Ghosts formation. I was busy here for 3 whole days before I finished setting it up. Now that the formation has been activated, even if you are a deity, you can only kneel before me and submit to me. Li Tianqing said proudly. Suddenly, a red brick appeared in Qin Haodong's hand. With a flash of red light, the brick flew out. With a cracking sound, the formation that he had painstakingly set up for 3 days was broken in an instant. For a moment, the clouds parted and the sun rose. The ghost chi dispersed and the surroundings were restored to their previous clarity. This, Li Tianqing was dumbfounded. He never thought that the treasure of the Ghost King sect, his greatest reliance today, would be so easily broken by others. Qin Haodong said lightly, What else do you have? Show me. He was now an expert second only to those in the crossing calamity stage. He was at the peak of this continent. Naturally, he would not take a small master of the Ghost King sect seriously. Kid, I'll kill you. The master of the Ghost King sect flew into a rage. His genuine essence turned into a huge ghost claw and grabbed at Qin Haodong. He was also a master at the peak of the Mahayana realm. After he used the Nether Ghost Claw, it carried a monstrous momentum that made people breathless. Unfortunately, the person opposite him was Qin Haodong. The Xian Yuan sword in his hand flashed with golden light and instantly turned the Nether Ghost Claw into nothingness. Then the Xian Yuan sword did not stop. It directly shot into Li Tianqing's lower abdomen with a sharp sword chi. Li Tianqing flew backward for dozens of meters. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his body fell straight down. Fortunately, Nyotsuehua had been paying attention to this side. She quickly caught Li Tianqing and held him in her arms. You actually destroyed my cultivation? Li Tianqing's face was ferocious and his eyes were full of hatred. Unfortunately, he no longer had the momentum from before. Although Qin Haodong did not kill him, this sword directly destroyed his dantian. His lifetime cultivation was destroyed in an instant. He was no different from an ordinary person. Qin Haodong said coldly, The Ghost King sect has done harm and done many evil things over the years. I didn't kill you for Tsuehua's sake. I'll kill you. Li Tianqing used to be an ambitious overlord. Even under the siege of the 4 kingdoms, he could escape unscathed. Today, his cultivation was destroyed, which made it difficult for him to accept. However, he had no cultivation now. He was weaker than a baby in Nyotsuehua's arms. He could not break free at all, let alone pose a threat to Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong took 2 steps forward, looked at him sharply and said, Tell me the secret of the black demon beads, or I will still kill you. Although Li Tianqing did not say everything just now, from the meaning of his words, the 7 black demon beads seemed to be related to the space loophole. This matter had to be clarified. Li Tianqing was an overlord after all. He said angrily, In your dreams. I won't tell you even if I die. If it was something else, Qin Haodong could completely ignore it. However, this was related to whether or not the space-time tunnel could be opened. He would not back down no matter what. He said murderously, Li Tianqing, I'll give you one last chance. Are you going to tell me or not? Nyotsuihua also knew the importance of the space-time tunnel to Qin Haodong. She hurriedly shouted, "Big brother, what's going on? Tell Haodong quickly." "I won't tell you. I won't tell you. Kill me if you can." Li Tianqing was originally a very ambitious person. Now that his cultivation was destroyed, he was disheartened and did not care about his life at all. Qin Haodong frowned and his murderous aura became stronger. At this moment, Chao Yuhuan shouted, "Don't kill him. I'll tell you." He turned his head and asked, "Are you sure you know?" "Of course I know, and I know it even better than the sect master. I was the one who told him about it." Chao Yuhuan said with a pleading face, "As long as you let us go, I'll tell you everything." Qin Haodong's expression softened a lot. "Your lives are useless to me. I'll let you go after I tell you." Li Tianqing gritted his teeth and shouted, "Yuhuan, you can't tell him. Qin Haodong destroyed our Ghost King's sect and destroyed my cultivation. You can't tell him even if you die. Enough." Chao Yuhuan glared at Li Tianqing and shouted, "After so many years, what else do you have in your eyes besides ambition? What else is there besides the Ghost King sect? For your ambition, you can ignore everything. For your ambition, you can even make me the queen of the Azure Dragon Kingdom. But what happened in the end? What did you get? Don't you realize it?" With Chao Yuhuan's angry rebuke, the madness in Li Tianqing's eyes slowly died out. Finally, he lowered his head and stopped talking. Chao Yuhuan turned around and said, "Ask me if you have any questions." Qin Haodong said, "What is the function of these 7 black demon beads? What does it have to do with the space hole?" Chao Yuhuan said, "To tell you the truth, the function of the black demon beads is to break the seal of the space hole." Qin Haodong was shocked and shouted, "What? How is that possible? Isn't it said that gathering all 7 black demon beads can resurrect the Devil King and give the alien demons a new life?" Chao Yuhuan shook her head and said, "My mother is one of the few inheritors of the alien demons. I have the blood of the alien demons, so I know the secret of the black demon beads very well. The resurrection of the Devil King is just a gimmick. The real purpose is to open this space hole. As long as the seal here is broken, the alien demons can enter another space. It is said that the world on the other side of the space hole is far less powerful than the Lingwu continent. The alien demons will definitely become kings there, which is equivalent to a new life." When the spirit qi of the Lingwu continent recovered, the position of the alien demons was in danger. The alien demon emperor spent all his efforts to create these 7 black demon beads in order to open the space hole and escape with his people. Unfortunately, he was one step too late and was destroyed by the experts of the 7 families of the Lingwu continent. Our Ghost King's sect wants these 7 black demon beads. Our purpose is to leave the Lingwu continent and become the overlord of another space. Qin Haodong broke out in a cold sweat when he heard this news. Whether it was the alien demons in the past or the Ghost King sect now, once they reached the earth through the hole, the consequences would be unimaginable. After all, there was no Yellow Emperor Shenyuan or Qiyu on the earth now. They could not even deal with the remaining descendants of the alien demons, let alone the real alien demon emperor on the Lingwu continent. But now, bad things had turned into good things. These 7 black demon beads could help him open the way home. He asked, "Do you know how to use these 7 black demon beads to open the space hole?" "Of course I do. I can help you break the seal, but you have to promise me one thing." Qin Haodong said eagerly, "What is it?" "I'll promise you anything." He was in a hurry to open the way home. Even if Chao Yuhuan asked him to help Li Tianqing recover his cultivation, he would agree. Chao Yuhuan said, "After I help you open the space hole, I hope you promise to give our Ghost King's sect a piece of land. Tianqing and I will take our brothers there to live out the rest of our lives. Don't worry, we will really live in seclusion this time and will never step into the Lingwu continent again." Qin Haodong had no intention of killing them, so he said, "Sure." He was now the master of the entire Lingwu continent, so this request was nothing. Well, I'll help you break the space seal now. Give me the 7 black demon beads. Without any hesitation, Qin Haodong raised his hand and threw the 7 black demon beads to her. The black demon beads, which had been silent in his hand, instantly shone with a black light in Qiao Yuhuan's hand. It turned out that the treasure made by the alien demon emperor could only be activated by the bloodline of the alien demons. Qiao Yuhuan raised her hand and waved. The 7 black demon beads flew out one after another and embedded themselves on the edge of the space hole. Open! She shouted, and the 7 black demon beads shone brightly. The space hole made a loud bang and the unbreakable seal was finally opened. This chapter is the Fat Cat Rolls Around update. Chapter 1024. After releasing a dazzling black light and opening the seal, the 7 black demon pearls dissipated in the void and were no longer visible. What appeared in front of everyone was a huge hole full of space energy. Seeing that the seal was completely opened, Qin Haodong was so excited that his heart almost jumped out. After so long, he was finally on the way home. Qiao Yuhuan took Li Tianqing from Niu Zuihua's arms and said, "Can we go now?" "Let's go." From now on, the valley under Qingling Mountain belongs to the Ghost King sect. Although Li Tianqing's cultivation had been destroyed, Qin Haodong was not particularly at ease with the people of the Ghost King sect, so he directly arranged for them to be under his watch. Qiao Yuhuan nodded and rushed to Qingling Mountain with the 3rd elder and the 4th elder. The little witch called out, "Little brother, can we go over now?" Looking at the space hole in front of her, she was eager to try. "Don't worry, there are some things that need to be done before we can go." Qin Haodong took out the formation flags and began to set up a formation outside the space hole. About 2 hours later, he resealed the space hole in his own way. With his attainments, no one could open the seal that he had set up unless an immortal came down from heaven. Niu Zuihua asked in surprise, "Husband, you just opened the space hole, why did you seal it again? Do you want to go over and never come back?" Qin Haodong said, "The seal that I set up can of course be used by our own people, but we have to ensure that no one will block our way back." After experiencing so many things, of course, he had to control the space hole in his own hands. Otherwise, what if the people of the Ghost King sect set up another seal and he could not come back? After all, he could not find a way to break the seal every time. In addition, in terms of strength, the people of the Lingwu continent were far stronger than the people of Earth. In addition to the Ghost King sect, there were many evil warlocks. If these people sneaked into Earth while he was away, he would be a sinner. Because of this, although he was anxious to go back, he first sealed the space hole. "Okay, we can go over now." In order to prevent being separated after passing through the space hole, everyone held hands and rushed to the space hole. After a huge energy fluctuation, everyone's eyes lit up, and they appeared in the sky above Bermuda. Looking at the rolling clouds around him and the surging sea under his feet, Qin Haodong was overwhelmed with emotions. "Mom, my daughter, my loved ones, I'm finally back." The little witch asked, "Little big brother, is this your hometown? Where's the good food? You only know how to eat. How can there be good food in the wilderness?" Qin Haodong led everyone forward and quickly landed on the unique Devil Island. At this moment, the unique Demon's Island was desolate. There was not a single person in sight. After the previous battle, the corpses of the unique demons had also disappeared. Just as Qin Haodong was about to leave, his eyes suddenly turned to the southeast corner of the island, where there was a huge pit on the ground, faintly fluctuating with dense devil qi. He still remembered the scene of the battle very clearly. This pit was not created by a fight at all. It looked more like a scene of someone breaking out of seclusion. With such great power in the aura of the Devil Clan, it was easy to guess the result. An expert of the alien demon had been cultivating in seclusion here before, and he had hidden himself very well, so he had not been discovered. When he was trapped in the Lingwu continent, he broke out of seclusion. Thinking of this, his face suddenly became ugly. With the level of martial arts on Earth, people in the god transformation stage were all masters. Suddenly, such a powerful alien demon appeared, which was definitely a disaster. The most important thing was that he had destroyed the unique Devil's Island and killed so many alien demons. It could be said that the Tang sect had become a great enemy of the alien demons, but he was not there. Thinking of this, endless fear rose in his heart. Nyotsuhwa asked in surprise, "Husband, what's wrong? Aren't you happy? Come with me, the faster, the better." After that, he took everyone into the air and rushed in the direction of the capital of Huaxia. The capital, the Tang sect. In the spacious courtyard, all the people of the Tang sect stood there, looking solemn and ready. Standing in the front were 3 masters at the middle stage of the Saint Realm. They were Qin Zongheng, the master of the Qin family, Xianyuan Ligay of the Zihang Sword House, and Shi Yumi, the master of the Devil clan. Like everyone else, they all looked extremely serious at the moment. There were 4 people standing opposite them. The 3 in front were Qin Zhanlong, Qin Feiyu, and Qin Chong. Behind the Qin family was a strong man who was 2 meters tall. Not only did he look extremely fierce, but he was also full of strong devil qi. Qin Zongheng said angrily, "Qin Zhanlong, how dare you collude with the alien demons? How can you face the ancestors of the Qin family?" Qin Feiyu said, "Qin Zongheng, you forced us to do this. Why are you the master of the Qin family? Why can you and your son be arrogant and domineering? Why did you and your son take away what originally belonged to me?" Hu Shaoxian said, "Bullsh *t, you can't be the master of the family. That's because you're incompetent." Qin Feiyu said with a sneer, "Are you saying that we're incompetent? Now that we have the ability, Mr. Douglas has helped the 3 of us to improve our cultivation. Now we are the strongest in the human clan. What else do you have to say?" Shi Yumi said angrily, "Bah! Shameless traitors who betrayed their ancestors for glory." In the past, those who betrayed Huaxia were called traitors, but now they had betrayed the entire human clan. The Qin family could only be called traitors. The winner is king and the loser is a thief. You're about to die, but how dare you talk to us like this? Qin Chong took 2 steps forward, stared at Wei Yanran and said, "You be *tch, I pursued you so much, but in the end, you still chose that bastard Qin Haodong. Are you dumbfounded now? Let me tell you, take off your clothes and climb into my bed right now. I can give you another chance. Otherwise, you and the Wei family will all die. Qin Chong, you bastard, I'll kill you." Since Qin Haodong disappeared, Wei Yanran had been burning with anxiety. At this moment, she could no longer suppress her anger. She raised her hand and slashed at Qin Chong's face. "You're really overestimating yourself. Now I'll show you my strength," Qin Chong said without backing down. He also slashed out with his palm, which was filled with black devil qi. Wei Yanran was now at the early stage of the Saint Realm, but after colliding with Qin Chong's palms, she flew back more than 10 meters and fell to the ground with a thud. There was a trace of blood at the corner of her mouth. Middle stage of the Saint Realm. All the people of the Tang sect were shocked. They knew Qin Chong's cultivation before. It was not an exaggeration to call him a good-for-nothing. They didn't expect that he had improved to such an extent. Qin Chong looked proud and said with a laugh, "How about it? Now you see how powerful I am, don't you? This is the benefit of working for Lord Douglas. You used to be superior, but now you can only be trampled under my feet. Bastard, it's not your turn to show off in the Tang sect." Qin Zongheng shouted angrily and punched at Qin Chong. "Qin Zongheng, do you want to bully the weak?" Qin Feiyu shouted and raised his hand to block Qin Zongheng's punch. The 2 of them collided head-on. Qin Feiyu didn't move at all, but Qin Zongheng flew back dozens of meters like a kite with a broken string and fell to the ground with a thud. Late stage of the Saint Realm? Xianyuan Ligay, Shi Yumi and the others were all shocked. The highest cultivation on their side was only at the middle stage of the Victor Realm, but Qin Feiyu, who came from the opposite side, crushed all of them. Looking at Qin Zongheng, who got up, Qin Feiyu laughed proudly and said, "Qin Zongheng, aren't you awesome? Aren't you known as a rare genius in 100 years? Why are you like a dog after being punched by me?" "Well, stop it." A cold voice sounded. Douglas, who had been silent all this time, strode to the front of the crowd. "I'm Douglas, the king of the alien demon clan. The one you killed before was just a puppet of mine." He glanced at the people of the Tang sect and said, "Qin Haodong destroyed the alien demon island and killed countless of my clansmen. He killed all my clansmen in this world. I must settle this score with you today. From today on, kill all the men here and keep the women. Let them reproduce the descendants of the alien demon clan with me. This is your compensation. Otherwise, you will all die." He was originally the strongest of the alien demon clan on Earth. In recent years, he had been cultivating in seclusion to reach the void training realm. But he didn't expect that when he came out, the entire alien demon clan had been destroyed. After figuring out the situation, Douglas hated Qin Haodong to the core. He decided to take revenge on the Tang sect and control the entire world and become the king here. However, now that all the alien demons were dead, he needed the help of some lackeys in order to realize his plan. He came to the capital of Huaxia and found the 3 people of the Qin family after learning about the situation. Qin Zhanlong and Qin Feiyu were annoyed that Qin Zongheng had become the master of the Qin family. After seeing Douglas's strength, they hit it off and became the lackeys of the alien demon clan. Douglas had also expended a lot of effort to help the 3 of them increase their strength before coming to the Tang sect today. Qin Feiyu said with a flattering face, "Did you hear that? It's your good fortune to be chosen by Lord Douglas. Hurry up and come over." Lin Momo had been standing behind with the little fellow in her arms. At this time, she took 2 steps forward and said with a firm face, "We people of the Tang sect can only stand and live, not kneel. We can't do things like you. I only have one man in my life, and that is Qin Haodong. There will never be a second man." "That's right. We only have one man in our lives." Hu Shaoxian, Feng Wu, Nalan Wushuang and Nalan Wuxia all made their vows. The little fellow also shouted angrily, "You bad guy, get out of here, or Daddy will beat you to death." Qin Haodong has already become a dead man. The alien demon clan is full of strong masters. It's not his turn to run wild. "You be asterisk cheese, it seems that I have to teach you a lesson." Qin Feiyu wanted to show off in front of Douglas, so he threw a punch at Lin Momo. In order to warn the others, his punch was very heavy and merciless. The people around let out an exclamation. Xianyuan Ligay and Shiyumi wanted to help, but it was too late. Chapter 1025. However, at this moment, an overwhelming killing intent enveloped the entire Tang sect, making it hard for people to breathe. Then, Qin Feiyu's body flew back more than 10 meters as if he had been hit by a cannonball. Then, he exploded into a cloud of blood mist with a bang. This time, everyone was stunned. What kind of technique was this? They had seen Qin Feiyu's strength just now. He was at the late stage of the Saint Realm, which was an absolute powerhouse on Earth. However, such a person was blown into flesh and blood through the air. What kind of cultivation could do that? Was he an immortal? When everyone was shocked, Qin Haodong descended from the sky with Nyotsuehua and the others. It only took him half an hour to fly from Bermuda to the capital since he had reached the Desheng stage. He happened to see Qin Feiyu attacking his woman and daughter from a distance. His killing intent was so strong that he directly turned Qin Feiyu into a cloud of flesh and blood. Seeing Qin Haodong reappear in front of everyone present was stunned. Some were shocked, some were surprised, and all kinds of complicated expressions rushed into their hearts. "Haodong, you're finally back, son, I missed you so much, Papa, I missed you so much." After coming to their senses, the people of the Tang sect swarmed up and surrounded Qin Haodong. The little fellow directly threw herself into his arms, hugged his cheeks, and kissed him fiercely. Douglas was stunned by Qin Haodong's power just now. He had thought that he was the strongest person in this world after reaching the void training stage. He didn't expect that the young man in front of him was even stronger. It was very likely that he had reached the form synthesis stage. He was far from being able to compete with him now. A fierce light flashed in his eyes. Seeing that Qin Haodong was surrounded by people and didn't notice him, he took out a ghost spear and threw it at Qin Haodong fiercely. In his opinion, this was his only chance. Only by killing this person unexpectedly could he regain control of the situation. The ghost spear flew toward Qin Haodong at an extremely fast speed with a strong killing intent and the sound of tearing the air. The target was getting closer and closer, but Qin Haodong didn't seem to notice it at all. He was being intimate with his family. The target was getting closer and closer, but Qin Haodong didn't seem to notice it. He was being intimate with his relatives. Douglas's eyes flashed with excitement. As long as he was hit by the ghost spear, even a body integration stage cultivator would die without a grave. But at this moment, a jade-like hand suddenly reached out and grabbed the phantom spear. The phantom spear, which was supposed to be able to destroy heaven and earth, was like a child's toy in the other party's hands. It posed no threat at all. Douglas was completely dumbfounded. What kind of cultivation was needed to grab the ghost spear with his bare hands? After recovering from his shock, he turned around and ran. The strength of the woman in front of him was far beyond his imagination. He was definitely not someone he could contend with. But before he could take 2 steps, someone grabbed him by the neck and threw him to the ground. The one who attacked was Nyotsuehua. She naturally would not show mercy to people who dared to harm her husband. He destroyed all of Douglas's cultivation as soon as he attacked. Then, he came to Qin Haodong by the collar and said, "Husband, how should we deal with this alien demon?" Qin Haodong turned around and said in a cold voice, "Kill him." At this moment, his heart was full of anger. If he had come back a little later, the consequences would have been unimaginable. He was afraid that the entire Tang sect would have been slaughtered by this remnant of the devil clan. Hearing his order, Nyotsuehua naturally would not show any mercy. With a slap, Douglas turned into a cloud of blood mist in an instant, and even his body was not left. Qin Zhanlong and Qin Chong, who were next to him, were completely dumbfounded. Originally, after seeing Douglas's power, they thought that he was the strongest person in the world. As long as they followed Douglas, they would definitely become second only to one person and above hundreds of millions of people. At that time, not only could they control the Qin family and snatch the throne of the family master, but they could also control the entire capital and Huaxia. Unexpectedly, Qin Haodong came back and instantly destroyed all their hopes. Douglas, who was like a god, was even worse than a dog in front of him. He had no ability to resist at all. Seeing Qin Haodong's eyes full of killing intent, Qin Zhanlong no longer cared about his identity and his son's death. He knelt on the ground with a plop and said, "Haodong, don't get me wrong. We were all forced by this guy." Qin Chong also knelt on the ground, ignoring the jealousy, hatred and face in his heart. "Cousin, we were really forced by the alien demon. In fact, we just wanted to be undercover around him and find a suitable opportunity to kill him." Qin Haodong naturally knew what was going on. He said coldly, "You have offended me again and again before. For the sake of the Qin family, I have always kept you alive. I didn't expect you to betray the entire human race and humiliate the ancestors of the Qin family. Today, there is no need for you to live in this world." Seeing that Qin Haodong's way was not going to work, Qin Zhanlong immediately turned to Qin Zongheng and said, "Zongheng, for the sake of your uncle, please plead with Haodong not to kill me." Qin Chong also cried out, "Yes, uncle, no matter what, we are all members of the Qin family. We all have the blood of the Qin family. You must not kill us," Qin Zongheng said coldly. "From the moment you betrayed the human race, you are no longer members of the Qin family. For the sake of the Qin family, I will leave you with a whole body." After Qin Haodong finished speaking, he raised his hand and the fierce energy directly broke the heart veins of Qin Zhanlong and Qin Chong. The two of them fell straight to the ground and completely lost their vitality. After solving the biggest crisis in the history of the Tang sect, Qin Haodong finally reunited with his family. The whole Tang sect was filled with the joy of the new year. The next day, the news of Qin Haodong's strong return spread throughout the capital. Some people said that he had reached the legendary divine realm, and some said that he had become an immortal. In short, no one in the world was his opponent. When all the upper class of the capital flocked to the Tang sect to please them, they found that only the people of the Daddy Security Company were left in the big Tang sect, and Qin Haodong's family had disappeared. After that, many people looked for Qin Haodong in many ways, but they did not find his whereabouts. It was as if his family had disappeared from this space. 10 years later, in the Medicine God Valley. In an empty valley, a tall beautiful girl in a referee's uniform was organizing a football game with a whistle in her mouth. On the field, on one side, there were 11 good-natured little boys, and on the other side, there were 11 beautiful and cute little Lolas. Toot, the beautiful girl blew the whistle in her hand and said to a chubby little boy, "Seventh baby, you used your true power again. You will be punished with a red card." The little boy pouted and said, "Fine. I'm not playing anymore. I'm going to see Aunt Shanshan's concert." As soon as he left, another little boy said, "I'm not playing either. I'm going to see Aunt Qinggu dance. I'm going to see the flowers at Aunt Jiayu's place." In the blink of an eye, the 11 little boys in front of her ran away. A little girl said, "Sister Tang Tang, they are all gone. How can we play?" "Forget it. Go and play by yourself." Tang Tang walked back angrily. At this time, Qin Haodong came over with a pair of twins in his hands and a 2-year-old baby on his back. "Tang Tang, do me a favor. Your 16th brother peed again." Tang Tang sighed and said, "Dad, you are a master of the Desheng stage. You are a nanny all day long. I don't know when it will end." "How would I know? Your Aunt Suihua is pregnant with 3 children, Aunt Xiao Xian is pregnant with the 4th, and Aunt Fengwu is pregnant with the 6th. At this moment, the little witch Luo Hongying flew over from the side in a hurry. "Little brother, go and have a look. Arya has summoned another dragon tiger beast. They can't hold it anymore. It's really worrying. Your summoning skill was unreliable, and the daughter you gave birth to is even more unreliable." Qin Haodong hurriedly stuffed the children in his hands to her, and then rushed away with the little witch. End of the book. Dear readers, this book is officially over. Compared with the last book, Urban Mystical Doctor, I think this ending is better. Thank you for your long-term support of Black Beer. The new book, Urban Ancient Immortal Doctor, has been officially released on the internet. I hope you can continue to support me. This book, Reborn Doctor, has almost 3.4 million words. It took 11 months to write. During this period, there was no interruption, and there were no changes. On average, there were 10,000 words updated every day. With this book, I want to sum up my shortcomings. Since this is the first time I wrote a fantasy novel, some places were not handled well, so the fantasy flavor was not too strong. It was somewhat inclined to martial arts. In the next book, Black Beer will work hard to correct it. In short, this book is over. The next book is a new beginning. I hope you can continue to support me. The support of my readers is the driving force for me to go to the end. Urban Ancient Immortal Doctor is now released. I look forward to your continued support. Friends who read books on other websites can search for the WeChat public account Super Refreshing Black Beer. You are welcome to leave comments, discussions, and updates. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.